Because then you've been posted.
Welcome, everyone, to the Football Addicts Anonymous podcast. As always, I have Chris Sherry. We got Mark here.
Grateful to be back. Each week I can be back.
We're back in person for the first time in a million years. But yeah, we had a pretty solid weekend of FCS football. We also had the March Madness going on here still, down to the Elite Eight now. So a lot of sports going on. I love that football's in the spring.
I was on campus for one game and didn't even realize that they were having a home game.
Yeah, not as much free agency news this weekend, but we'll end the show like we did on Friday with our mock draft series today. Chris, we're doing your AFC East.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited for it.
JETS.
With the Draft Network mock draft sim. So we'll get to that at the end of the show. But let's get this thing going here. Before I share the screen, I'm gonna, I don't want to show the would you rathers. Chris doesn't need to see that.
Oh, come on, that's the most fun.
He doesn't need to see that. He doesn't need to see that. He doesn't know what it is.
Nope.
Would
All
you rather have Beard or his? I'll take this. I will take this.
So let's start.
Win.
Mercer upsetting Chattanooga. I did not see that coming. I thought Chattanooga was easy. Mercer. Internet connection unstable. That's great. Mark, what is your Wi-Fi doing at your house?
I think they can still hear us. They were just giving us a message.
But yeah, for the second straight week, though, Cole Copeland has played very well. And I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if he came in relief of Drayton Arnold for the second straight week or not. But it seems like Cole Copeland should be the quarterback going forward. He didn't have as many yards, but the completion percentage was way up and same amount of touchdowns. So
100% about completion percentage from there. You got to complete passes to move it downfield. What I love about this game is it's kind of close to home. We have somebody that works with Rusty and I, and her brother is on the Mercer offensive line. She was there. They had a bit of a rain delay and lightning delay. And Lane sent some messages to me, and she's like, I hope Missouri's good. Are you at the Missouri State game? And I said, oh my gosh, I'm right down the road, 40 minutes away. I forgot they were playing at home. Drove there, watched Missouri State on campus, didn't have a ticket, but watched the campus, looks down into it. We were trading scores, and she's like, we just pulled the upset. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm surprised it was even a one-score game looking at how the scores broke down because Mercer scored and made it 14-point game, 35-21 with 1:34 to go. Chattanooga went down the field in 21 seconds.
And scored. Yeah.
Get within 7. So it was really, I mean, especially when you look at the win probability chart, literally it was Mercer pretty much 3/4 of the game. So I don't know. But yeah, definitely good win for Mercer. Good win for Alex. He's their kicker at Mercer. Or I don't know if he's the kicker, but he is a kicker.
He's on the team.
So yeah.
Dim Bears.
Solid performance by Lance Jackson for Chattanooga there, over 100 rushing, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, a lot of other weird, lesser rushing yards, but they scored touchdowns. So
Ethan Durham, is that
yeah.
3 receptions, 91 yards. That's a 30.3 average. Big time. I know it's only 3 receptions, but if you can average 30 yards a catch, wow.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things in this game, though, not to spend too much time on it, granted, they were only -1, Chattanooga was in turnovers, but Jamal, there 2 fumbles, and then the only other turnover, Carter Peavy's interception. So
big difference in the game.
Yeah.
Conference game.
Alrighty. Mercer covered plus 10.5, over 44.5 hit. And literally, dude, we're going to go on a run. I don't feel like counting right now, but almost most of the games this week went over, which is crazy because when Jack was on Friday there, There's a couple games that were over 60 for the over-under, and they went over. So, anyways, next game here. I called it the game of the week. Probably didn't pan out as the game of the week. I don't know. I wasn't able to watch it because it wasn't on ESPN Plus. The Colonial Athletic Association is not on ESPN Plus this spring. So, but anyways, number 11 Delaware beat number 18 Rhode Island 35-21. I did call that though. I did think the Hens were going to win. Nolan Henderson, very solid game. Not as many yards, but very efficient. And he did enough to get the win. But it didn't really matter because he didn't have to do it. He didn't really have to do anything when you have Dijon Lee running for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I agree 100% there. I'm not even going to dive into stats in this one. I get a feeling that Delaware is a pretty good team. You want to peg them at 11. You want to peg them at not ranked. You want to peg them more than 11. I think Delaware actually is a pretty good team. That doesn't mean they're going to win this thing this spring, but I think they have the ingredients to go on a run come playoff time.
Yeah, I agree. You also have Corey Spruill there.
God.
Their second leading back with 88 yards on 15 carries. I mean, the 2 running backs combining for over 300 rushing yards is probably going to win you the game.
And
I would say.
Your quarterback, 77% completion. I mean,
yeah. Forgot to put a slide in, but that's all right. Anyways, yeah, Blue Hens, good. I think that
who doesn't like a blue hen too?
I think I've said this before, but I'm pretty sure they're going to win the CAA this year in the spring. I mean, this was really their test.
Yeah.
Until the conference championship, where they're going to have to run into the number 1 team in the country in James Madison. But that is besides the point right now. They will most likely win the Eastern Division there.
But unlike the format of the fall football, both would get into the playoff system, regardless if they lost to James Madison.
I don't know. We'll have to see. Only 16 instead of 24 teams this spring.
Oof.
So
how could you make these 2 teams not get in?
It's pretty much conference champions and 3. I believe there's 3 at-large bids out of the 16. So, all right. Delaware covered -9.5 and over 49 hit.
Would have hung his
big, massive amounts of points in this one. I knew it was going to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
I was just on the wrong side of it in terms of my parlay. Chris, for the second straight week, my FCS parlay lost by 1 team. And this was the one. I had Incarnate Word plus 7.5. I thought they were a lot better than this. But really, it was 21 early. But yeah, number 17, Nickel State upsets number 13, Incarnate Word 75-45. Yeah, it was 20-14 after the first quarter. And really, I think the turning point was when Nickel State got the first stop of the game and held Incarnate Word to a field goal to make it 20-17. And then Nickel State broke their back with Dante's Costly's 90-yard kick return touchdown, literally the play after they kicked that field goal to make it a 27-17 game. And it was all Nickel State after that. So
guys, that's a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're ranked or not ranked. That's a lot of points scored, a lot of points.
I mean,
wow.
Nickel State's been doing that all season so far, though. I mean, they've been scoring a ton of points. I mean, this is, I think, the most they've given up so far. But, yeah, if I was on the show on Friday night, I would have been saying that Nickel State was going to win this one. So I wish I was there for you on Friday, Rusty, but oh well.
Well, that's the thing, though. This was Nickel State first game after a 2 week. 2 weeks ago was when they got blown out in a very surprising game when they lost 71-17 against Sam Houston State. And now, they come back. They're refreshed. They have a bye week in between that. and they come back with a fury. And that's the thing, though. Both of these quarterbacks are very good. Cam Ward is a freshman for UIW. Lindsey Scott is a senior, so definitely experiential differences there. But literally, I was watching this game, and Incarnate Ward's defense had no answer for Lindsey Scott throwing the ball, for Lindsey Scott running the ball. They also didn't have an answer for John Carrington either. Obviously, 10 yards per carry.
That's a lot of yards.
Not going to get it
That's
done
a lot
on
of
defense.
yardage, guys.
And yeah, I mean, it was just
104 yards receiving by Farrell, 17 average. I mean, they're lighting up the field, guys. But, I mean, when you score 45, you should expect to win ball games too. Does that make sense?
that was the only surprising thing. I think that there was only one 100-yard receiver.
Yeah, that's the only one.
In a 120-point game.
Wow.
There's only one 100-yard receiver and only one 100-yard rusher. But that's because Nicholls State in the near the end of the third quarter put in their backups. That's when UIW started coming back. They got around, I think, 2 or 3 straight stops on defense against the Nicholls State backups. And then they started scoring on offense, and it got to, 45. What was it? They scored like 3 straight. Yeah, 45-68. And then they were like, all right, well, they're gonna get within 3 scores. We better put our starters back in. Lindsey Scott came back in, went down, scored another touchdown with Dejon Dixon there. So yeah, it was a crazy game. It was 55-24 at halftime. It was Nicholls State had already won at that point. They didn't even have to play the second half. But yeah, crazy game, crazy amount of points. And I did not win my parlay. But the reason I had Incarnate Word plus 7.5 was because, for one, they've been playing a lot better. And also I thought that they could score with Nicholls. And I mean, it's kind of deflating when you score 45 and you don't win. If you score 45 points, most likely you should probably end up winning the game.
You score 45 points, right? Like your OC could get a high five, correct? But you're giving up 75. I don't know what happens after that. Like, wow. Just wow.
Defensive coordinator should be fired. That's what should happen. Literally no stopping. No stopping the Nicholls State offense. Nicholls State covered -4 over 69. They almost doubled that, actually. 120 total points in that one. No. All right. Next one here. Holy crap,
baby.
Number 22, Northern Iowa beat Western Illinois 34-20. But holy crap, Northern Iowa scored over 21. For the first time this season in 6 games, they finally got over 21.
Look, I don't know.
Lord.
I don't know how to communicate this any better. Growing up in Missouri, St. Louis, Springfield area, UNI at this level was like the team to beat. That's where Kurt Warner was from, and different coaches, and they always had great defensive backs. And so this is weird seeing the 3-3 mark. I mean, you still have number 22 in front of them, but I don't remember the last time when I was growing up, at least, when I saw them with 3 losses.
Yeah. Like I said, though, this is their 6th game, and this is the first time they scored over 21. That has been the issue, has been scoring for them. And Connor Sampson for Western Illinois balled out. Justin Fomby didn't have to do too much. But that's the thing, though. I think once Northern Iowa got 3 losses after they got upset last week against Missouri State, I think, they put in Justin Fomby. I mean, Fomby played against Missouri State, but I think they've gone to the freshmen now, and they're kind of looking towards next year. Because I highly doubt they're going to get in the playoffs with 3 losses. Especially when there's so many other good teams in the Missouri Valley.
Right.
So, obviously you got to keep playing the games, but not looking good for Northern Iowa's chances getting into the playoffs.
I think for me, the rankings don't matter as much as what's in front of the, like your ranking in front of your name.
Yeah.
A lot of times at higher levels, the rankings, people put more into that, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I think you get 15 teams in, it doesn't matter if you're 18 or 20 or 22nd.
Yeah, especially Northern Iowa's now they're 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 6th place in the Missouri Valley. There's no shot they make the playoffs. I think literally the top 4 teams in the Missouri Valley will make it. Actually, probably only the top 3. Missouri State's gonna be tough to get in, but anyways, good performance by Connor Sampson and a losing effort there. Also, Dennis Houston for WIU there, but really, I think obviously it's a 14-point game, but a pretty big change in this game was Omar Brown's their 62-yard blocked field goal return for a touchdown. That was right at the end of the half. Western Illinois was going to try to make it actually, they were going to try to tie the game at 10 to go into halftime. Couldn't get it done. Got blocked. Omar Brown returned it for a touchdown there. So went up 17-7 at a half, and it was all downhill there for Western Illinois anyways. But good fight. I didn't think they were going to score this much against a really good Northern Iowa defense. This is the second time Western Illinois has surprised me this year. They also scored 20, I believe, against North Dakota, which I didn't think they were going to score that much against North Dakota either. So, yeah. I mean, they're 0-5. I know there's not any consolation prizes in football, but, they're giving good effort against very good teams. And, I mean, they're in the hardest conference there is. They're kind of like the Vanderbilt of the FCS. And considering the Missouri Valley is the SEC of the FCS. So, Northern Iowa covered -7 over 42 hit. Next one here, the number 1 team in the country, James Madison, taking care of business, blowing out William and Mary 38-10. Cole Johnson, so much better. Oh my God. I know it's an easy opponent, pretty easy opponent. William and Mary is not that good. But this was the kind of game that I've been waiting for Cole Johnson, because he struggled mightily against Robert Morris. He struggled against, I believe that was Stonebrook. No, Elon. He also struggled. So this was kind of game I've been waiting to see Cole Johnson put out there. So good game for him. Very good game for Kalen Black as well. 140 yards and a touchdown on the ground. But yeah, I knew James Madison was going to take care of business. They have all season. So
yeah, they're I think they're still the clear number 1 team in the country. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Johnson had a solid game this week, but I don't know. I still think I would like to see more come out of him. I'd like to see it consistently rather than just this one game. So let's see if he can continue it in the weeks to come.
Yeah, and I think really because they had 2 straight games postponed, so they haven't played for 3 weeks. I think really they got some good practices in there in between those games, and I think the biggest thing for me, anyways, in terms of Cole Johnson was that he didn't turn the ball over, because that had been the biggest issue against Elon and Robert Morris. He had turned the ball over a lot, so good game for him not turning it over this one. We'll have to see how they fare this week against their toughest test of the season, Richmond, coming up in Richmond.
But another just kind of note on Johnson too. I don't know off the top of my head his stat lines for previous games, but one thing I'm just noticing is he only threw the ball 22 times, which isn't that much. So maybe that could be a reason why maybe that could be a reason why he didn't have any turnovers, because he didn't have a lot of attempts, but I don't know.
He threw it 16 times against Elon, 24 against Robert Morris, and then I don't really count the first game this season because they won 52-0 against Morehead State. But he threw it 14 times in that one. But yeah, I mean, Robert Morris, he had 3 picks, and Elon, he had 1. So, yeah.
So then it's not because of the attempts, then, because that's his second most of the season so far.
No, yeah. Let's see. James Madison covered -13, over 45. James Madison finally hit the over, and I didn't bet it this week, Chris.
Well, don't get roped back into doing it because they're not going to do it next time.
I think they will. High scoring game up against Richmond. All righty. Let's go to 5-0 VMI, number 14 VMI, taking down Wofford 36-31. Very tough game. I did not expect Wofford to be this close in this one. But I was watching sort of the second half of this game, and it was back and forth. I mean, VMI had to come back. they had to come back. The largest deficit was 10. They were down 17 to 7 at halftime. Got the lead at 20-17. Wofford took it back 24-20. Wofford eventually was up 31-30 with 1:43 to go. And VMI marched down the field. Jacob Harris there scored the game winner. Tried for 2-point conversion, didn't get it. But 35 seconds to go. Wofford couldn't get enough time to get down the field. But yeah, I mean, Jacob Harris, what a fantastic game. 207, 3 touchdowns, all 15 receptions. My Lord, that was half of Seth Morgan's stats.
Yeah, I'm really invested in VMI now because I mean, I don't know if they're anywhere near as good as like Coastal Carolina in the fall season, but that's the team I think of when I think of VMI, because I didn't really know who VMI was going into the season. I didn't know really anything about them, and all of a sudden here we are with them being 5-0, and I mean, yeah, they came from behind on this one and won this one, so it'll be interesting to see how they finish out the season.
Yeah, and I think they're easily right now probably going to win the SoCon, the Southern Conference. They're now a game up in conference play. I mean, they've been a game up, but they're 5-0 in conference play versus East Tennessee State and Chattanooga are 3-1. So, yeah, I think they easily have the SoCon locked up. I don't know if the SoCon has a conference championship or not because they don't have divisions when you look at the standings. But, yeah, I mean, I agree. VMI, before this spring season, historically, what I knew about VMI was they sucked. Absolutely. I think they hadn't been 4-0 since the 80s. I don't know the last time they've been 5-0. So, yeah, the key debts are having themselves quite a year. So, next game up for VMI is the second place team in the SoCon right now, East Tennessee State. Again, I didn't think they would have a problem with Wofford, who is at the bottom of the SoCon. I don't think they should have a problem with East Tennessee State, but who knows? Conference play, always difficult. They end up with Citadel in 2 weeks. Let's see. VMI was a pick'em, so they covered, and the over 45 hit. I told you, dude, we had a lot of overs this week.
Yeah, I've been noticing that there's been a lot of high-scoring games here.
Yeah, until the next game. The next one was the first under of our game slate here that we had. We actually had more games previewed on Friday than we had game recaps, but that's because a couple of Missouri Valley games got postponed / canceled. Specifically, North Dakota against Youngstown State got postponed. Kennesaw State, Gardner Webb postponed. New Hampshire, Villanova, postponed there. North Dakota State, South Dakota, that one was canceled. Illinois State, South Dakota State canceled. That's because Illinois State has opted out of the spring season after going 0-3, I think they were. Or 1-3, yeah. Illinois State opted out of the spring season, so South Dakota did not have an opponent to play. Anyways, TJ Luther here, 100-yard kick return touchdown before we go to the next game, which is the number 3 team in the country, struggling for the second straight week. But they did get the win, 28-23 over Northern Arizona. The Lumberjacks putting in a good effort. But yeah, like I said, though, the second week in a row that Weber State has struggled. Granted, last week was against the ranked team in UC Davis. But this is back-to-back home games that they've had close games.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this game was crazy. I didn't watch it, but I saw the game-winning touchdown on ESPN because it is quite the ESPN highlight. It was a 50-yard Hail Mary from Randall Johnson to Justin Malone. No time on the clock. They got the ball back. Northern Arizona scored with 17 seconds to go. Northern Arizona scored. So it was 23-21. And then they got the midfield and they got it done. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. So yeah, Weber State really should have lost. But that's why they call it a Hail Mary. So
yeah. But I don't know. I've always how I am with the rankings and all that, but I still think Weber State's been way overranked for a while now. Yes, they're 3-0 and whatnot, and they did just have that come from behind win this weekend, but that single play at the end of the game changed the whole course of everything, because if they didn't convert that, then they lost the game. So I don't know. I'm interested to see where they end up in the rankings this week, but despite them winning and despite them being 3-0, I definitely think I don't even know if they should be in the top 5 if I were doing the rankings, but that could be just me.
Yeah, I mean, the saddest thing was that they were up 14-0 after the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Got outscored 10-0 in the second quarter, went to halftime 14-10. And then they didn't score another offensive touchdown until the Hail Mary, because they scored a kick return touchdown, which is that 100-yarder there by Rashid Shaheed. That was the first play. That was the opening kickoff of the second half. So it was 25-10 at that point, because they got a 2-point conversion off that as well. Or actually 22. I don't know why it says 25. The scoring screwed up in ESPN, but yeah, 25. It was 22-10 with it 13 seconds gone in the third quarter. And Weber State coming with a 50-yard Hail Mary to win the game 17 seconds ago.
Love that play.
Two back-to-back close wins by Weber State. They having struggles here. But again, they did get the win though. So Preston, solid game, 2 picks there on the defensive side for the Wildcats. And yeah, like I said, Josh Davis, Grayson Hall. Grayson Hall, though, he's been playing very well. We've had Northern Arizona in a couple of these games. Grayson Hall's had a couple 100-yard games for the couple games that we've had him. So solid performance by him as well. Let's see. Northern Arizona, easy cover, plus 24, under 55, our first under of our slate here. But we're going to go back to the over. And Mark, this is your game. This is your game right here. This is it. This is it right here. Missouri State, 3 straight wins. Upsetting number 10, Southern Illinois, 30-27. Now that's 2 top 10 wins in a row for Missouri State. Now 500. They are tied atop the Missouri Valley Conference
At
4-1. 4-1 in conference play.
4-1 in conference.
Yeah, I think the overall record 4-4. They played in the fall though.
They did. They
Couple
played
games.
Oklahoma State. They played Oklahoma. Petrino is the coach now. You get a lot of backlash for hiring him. I understand that 100%. Actually went and saw my mom. That's why I stepped out. She's doing good. She had a heart attack this weekend. She's stable. 90% heart failure, but she's a tough lady. Raising me, you would have to be. I'm a bit of a firecracker. She lives 45 minutes away from campus. Had to go into town, and I was like, what is all this traffic? Where are all the cars going? And I drove back to my old stomping grounds and realized they were playing a game, didn't have a ticket. But the way that the stadium is set up, you could stand outside and look into it. And I actually got to see the first half. And when I was getting into my car and getting some groceries, Rusty sent me a picture and he said, for the win. And I ducked out and watched it. Boom, nailed it. Big time win.
Yeah. So they had 2 tough losses in the fall. Their overall record really could have been better. They lost by 7 and by 9 in back-to-back games against Central Arkansas, home and home series. After that, obviously, drubbing of Oklahoma 48-0. So,
but they got their money.
Yeah.
To keep the department going.
But Stone Labanowitz for Southern Illinois, he's really been a lot better than what I forget. I don't even remember the guy that was playing before him, the guy that got injured, their quarterback. But yeah, he's really been playing a lot better for SIU. And, SIU's been up and down. They had those top 5 wins over North Dakota State. They beat number 1 North Dakota State when they were 1 at the time. They also beat number 4. I forget. No, number 5 Northern Iowa at the time. Then they get blown out by South Dakota State in a 6-5 matchup. I don't know. I don't know what to think about SIU. Again, just like Northern Iowa, though, in the Missouri Valley Conference, 3 losses, you're not going to make the playoffs. I don't care. I mean, they're ranked. Well, we'll get to where they're ranked in the rankings when we get to that. But, I don't care if you're number 10. With 3 losses, you're not making the playoffs, even with an at-large bid. So,
Manning, big day for Missouri State on the ground.
Yeah. Fantastic.
5.4 average,
4
3
total
touchdowns, 6 receptions, 117. 4
leading receiver in the game.
Touchdowns.
And what's crazy was 2 running backs led the way in receiving combined for both teams. Selden Manning there, Justin Strong for SIU was the second leading receiver with 9 for 96 and a touchdown. But yeah.
Wonder when the last time that happened was, when the running backs were the leading receivers in the game. I wonder if that ever happened. Probably. But.
But yeah, great win by Missouri State. And like I said, they are tied now, and it's a 4-way tie, actually, for first place in Missouri Valley Conference. North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Missouri State.
I guess my question would be, do 3 teams or 2 teams get out of this conference? Or is it just 1?
That's the thing, though. I think the top 3. I think it's going to be tough with Missouri State having 4 losses. And I think the issue is that the FCS allowed the fall play to be counted as the spring, which I think hurts some teams, because there are some teams that, like Missouri State, went 0-3 in the fall. So they started the spring at 0-3. They're 4-1 in the spring, but it doesn't matter because you went 0-3 in the fall. So
you better finish strong.
Yeah. I mean, they have, I don't know, 3 games left, 3 games. Let's see what their schedule looks like here. 1, actually. Their North Dakota game got canceled, and their Illinois State game got canceled as well. So they play Youngstown State in 2 weeks.
Don't fumble.
But yeah, I'm wondering if North Dakota actually opted out as well, considering that game got canceled. And I already told Chris, Illinois State opted out of the spring season after going 1-3. I would have been very surprised if North Dakota opted out because they were so good this spring. I just want to look at North Dakota's schedule real quick before we move on, just to make sure, see if all of their games are canceled coming up or not. If it wants to let me click, that would be great, right? If the phone wants to work here, that's what we need to know. I guess it's the Wi-Fi that's not working, Mark. I keep going on and off of it, and I only have one bar in here anyways. So while we wait for that, we will head on. Oh yes, here we go. No, North Dakota does have one game still scheduled 3 weeks from now.
In conference.
Yep, Youngstown.
Youngstown State is the last match.
Oh, see, that's the issue. I don't know why the Missouri State game was canceled. But yeah, the North Dakota Youngstown State game this week was postponed till April 15th. Illinois State, that hurts North Dakota though. Illinois State opting out. North Dakota was still supposed to play them 2 weeks from now. So, but yeah, I still love North Dakota, even though it's tough. I like two teams in this conference though. North Dakota, South Dakota State. It's tough to like two teams in one conference, but that's all right. I'll do it anyways. Missouri State covered +8 over 45. All right, let's go to number 15, UC Davis, getting a close win over Idaho State. Did not expect UC Davis to be this close to Idaho State. This was a big one. This was a big over-under. Did not go over, unfortunately. Neither quarterback really great at all. But yeah, there's not a lot of stats in this one. The two running backs, Landlars and Malachi Rango, probably the stars of this game. But other than that, not very many eye-popping statistics in this game here.
Not a lot of offensive stats.
And UC Davis actually won it at the buzzer with 8 seconds to go. Trent Tompkins had a 4-yard game-winning touchdown run there. One of their backup quarterbacks for UC Davis. So, yeah, Tyler Vanderwall did all he could. Not enough against the number 15 team in the country, though. Kenan Smith for Idaho State had the interception. Evan Perkins, Algery McGuire, the interceptions for UC Davis. Let's see here. Idaho State easy cover +16.5 and under. Ready for this? 67. Yeah. Big time.
Big over under there.
Big time under. And I didn't even think I didn't know why it was that big for UC Davis's stake. I knew why it was big for Idaho State because Idaho State's a spread team. So, anyways. Next one here. This is why I said that game coming up for James Madison against Richmond will be the game of the year, the hardest game of the year for them. Number 21, Richmond, the Spiders getting the win over the Phoenix 31-17. Joe Mancuso there, pretty solid performance. And not a lot of eye-popping stats here. No one over 100 receiving or rushing.
No turnovers from the quarterback position. Is
two
big.
touchdowns by Aaron Dykes there. Pretty good game, over 100 total yards anyways. But yeah, again, not a very
don't turn the ball over, you can win the ball
game. Very good game for Leroy Henley there, 8 for 88 through the air receiving. Also Tyreek Funderburk for the Spiders had the one interception of the game. Spiders got the cover, -12.5. Like that, 1.5 point cover. Over 46, 2-pointer there. Next game, big money. Number 12, Eastern Washington rolling Cal Poly 62-10. And I feel bad for Cal Poly. This is the second week in a row they've gotten absolutely annihilated.
They're just not very good.
Well, yeah, I know. We know Cal Poly sucks. They're absolutely terrible. But I feel bad when they're getting demolished every week. Because I think their first game wasn't bad. Yeah, their first game they lost by 10 to Southern Utah. But last week when they lost to UC Davis 73-24, and now you get rolled by 52 points against Eastern Washington. But yeah, Eric Barrier there, solid game by him. Even the backup quarter, that's when it's sad, is when the backup quarterback scores 2 touchdowns on you. Gunnar Talkington there for the Eagles. 3 quarterbacks playing for Cal Poly there. None of them doing anything except for Hunter Rackett's 1 touchdown. Did run the ball for 54 yards. But yeah.
Is 11.4 average on the ground for Eastern Washington's Pierce good enough for you, Chris?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I mean, what's your cutoff? About 4.5, 5 yards a carry?
Yeah, I like to see somewhere in the high 4s, round 5, like you said. Yeah, I like that average.
Yeah, 2 guys that I really like, though, for Eastern Washington. Eric Barrier, their quarterback, obviously. But, dude, Tololo Limo-Jones has been fantastic for the Eagles this whole season in all 4 of their games. So, very solid player to look out for in the coming years here.
7 receptions, 147 yards. That's nice.
Yeah. Mitchell Johnson there, the 34-yard pick 6 defensive line. That was their 3rd score. Made it 21-0, 28-7 after the first quarter, 45-7 at halftime. That's when you know that. What do you say? Mark, what do you tell me? What do you say to the coach when you're down 45-7 at halftime?
It's not over until the fat lady sings. Keep playing. Keep playing.
Mm-hmm.
That is an old saying.
All right.
Might be outdated, but keep pushing, keep playing.
It still works, though.
We're going to run our stuff. Let's run it right. Let's chip away at this score.
Eastern Washington covered. Big spread, -24. And guess what? The over hit. 70 points. Over under. Over hit.
Eastern Washington carried that.
Yep. Just a bit.
Only scored 10. That's always the conundrum that you get put in as a bettor when you're looking at those high over-unders. And it's like, well, how many is the bad team actually going to score? Are they going to score at all? And then you're like, all right, well, let's pray they score at least 1 touchdown. Because usually 1 touchdown gets it over when you're looking at big spread blowouts. So, all right. Let's go to yesterday's games. We had 2 ranked teams playing, and the first one on yesterday, I completely blanked on that there was football yesterday because I was watching basketball. I was trying to watch NASCAR race, but it got rained out until today, which is what we have on the TV right now. But yeah, I completely forgot to watch these games. And I'm kind of glad I didn't watch this first one because I would have been very sad because I like Jacksonville State. But Jacksonville State, number 7 team, upset by Austin Peay, 13-10. Terrible game by Zion Webb. I have not seen Zion Webb play that bad. Obviously, like I said, I didn't watch it. Well, he turned the ball over 5 times. He fumbled the ball once as well. Josh Samuel did all he could on the ground with 89 yards, but you're not going to win when your quarterback turns it over 5 times. I mean, you're not. That's the fact of the matter. You're not going to win that. I mean,
even when your receiver goes for 10 carries and 118.
That's receptions. That's my bad.
That's a big game by him, but you can't turn it over.
But that's Austin Peay, though. That's Austin Peay's receiver.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of sad for their quarterback, Draylen Ellis, 118 of his 211 yards.
one target. But if it's working, you go to it.
This is true. A lot of interceptions in this game. Obviously, Zion led with 4. Cam Ruffin there, 2 picks. All safeties. I don't know if they're actually all safeties, but that's just what position came up when I clicked on their names on ESPN. So they're all safeties right now. Terrell Vassell and Jonathan Edwards there for Austin Peay. Nicario Harper there. Nicario Harper's actually turned out a pretty good season this year. He's been on the defensive interceptions for a couple games that we've had Jacksonville State.
So does that bode well for Jacksonville State that you gave up 4 interceptions, but only allowed someone 13 points? Or you gave up 4 interceptions and you just lost the game? Like, you can fix 4 interceptions, right? Hopefully. You were still in the game, which is remarkable in my opinion.
Well, I mean, this completely changes. I mean, I don't know if it actually completely changes it, but the OVC, the Ohio Valley Conference, I thought was Jacksonville State's, they were running away with it. But the next game, the other team that we'll see that also plays on Sundays in the OVC, they're now the front runner. Now that Jacksonville State has a conference loss. Granted, people think Austin Peay sucks. They really don't. They're third right now in the
They're
OVC.
gritty. They are gritty.
They have 2 losses in conference play. They're sitting in third right now. So, but they did upset the win, big time game. If Jacksonville State lose another one, Austin Peay's in the OVC championship game. So, anyways, Austin Peay plus 12.5 here, under 56, way under. All right. The other team that I mentioned in the Ohio Valley here, number 19, Murray State staying undefeated, blowing out Eastern Illinois 41-27. That is Tennessee State's logo. I apologize, Eastern Illinois. I forgot to put your logo up here.
Murray State's tough team.
Yeah. And Preston Rice did not turn out a good game, but, DeMonte Witherspoon with 72 yards, scored twice. Jordan Smith for Eastern Illinois had a fantastic game, 142 yards on the ground there.
Mm-hmm.
And also Mark Williams there, 38-yard pick 6 for the Panthers. I mean, that's what their logo looks like, Eastern Illinois Panthers. So, yeah, I really don't know where Eastern Illinois lost the game. Is probably, I mean, they were only -1 in the turnover category. But this one was 10-10 going into the half. So, and 27-27 going into the
quarter.
And then Murray State scored 21 unanswered. Or no, not 21 unanswered.
14.
14 unanswered, yeah.
Field position.
So, yeah. When you lose the fourth quarter, you're probably going to lose the game, I would say.
What happened with the Eastern Illinois quarterbacks, though? Like, was it a benching or did the starter get hurt? What happened?
I would assume Otto Kuhn sucked, and then Harry Woodbury put it.
I mean, he didn't do much better, so.
No, I agree. But yeah, I have no idea. Like I said, I did not watch the game. Trying to look on the play-by-play here, starting in the fourth quarter. So they turned it over. Eastern Illinois turned it over on downs. This was when Otto Kuhn was still in. They turned it over on downs at the Murray State 13-yard lines. There's 3 points they could have got. This was when it was what was it? 27. This was still 27-27. Or no, that's the wrong one I'm looking at.
27-21.
I don't know what I'm looking at. I have no clue what I'm looking at right now. Yeah, this was 27-27, 1:30 to go in the third quarter. 27-27. That's when they turned it over on downs. So they could have taken a 3-point lead. Murray State goes down, scores 3, make it 30-27, And then the rest of the possessions, the rest of the game for Eastern Illinois was interception, punt, interception, and turnover on downs. Meanwhile, Murray State went down, scored another touchdown, and got a 2-point conversion. So, yeah.
Be interesting moving forward to see who the quarterback is.
Mm-hmm.
Eastern Illinois, not that good, though. Marcise Floyd, another guy that's been on a couple times with interceptions. Jared McCray as well for the Racers, getting a pick. I like the game by Lamartez Brooks there, 4 for 88 receiving, leading receiver in the game. Murray State covered minus 10.5 and over 44. Murray State almost getting it by themselves. And that is all the games we had on our FCS slate. Like I said, couple not there because of postponement/cancellations. But next slide, I apologize. I did not get the updated rankings in as far as the picture goes. So, but I do have them on my phone. So, updated right now. James Madison stays at 1. North Dakota State stays at 2. North Dakota State did not play. Weber State still at 3. South Dakota State at 4 still. Didn't play either. Sam Houston stays at 5. North Dakota stays at 6. Jacksonville State, big time loss. That moved Jacksonville State down to 12. So 5 spots dropped there. Kennesaw State, they move up 1 from 8 to 7, filling in for Jacksonville. Delaware up 3 from 11 to 8. Like that move by the Hens.
Tough team.
Eastern Washington also up 3 from 12 to 9. VMI into the top 10, 14 to 10. 5-0 now. UC Davis up 4, 15 to 11. Obviously, I said Jacksonville State down to 12 there. Nichols State up 4 from 17 to 13. Let's see. Murray State, they're up 5, 19 to 15. Richmond, they are up 6 from 21 to 15. Villanova didn't play this week. They stay at 16.
Nobody.
Chattanooga, big drop for them, 8 spots, 9 to 17. Southern Illinois drops 8, down from 10 to 18. Look at that, Mark. Missouri State in the rankings for the first time this year at 19.
4-4, baby.
Incarnate Word, they dropped 7 from 13 to 20. Furman, they did not play. They drop 20 to 21. Rhode Island, their loss to Delaware drops them 4 spots from 18 to 22. Northern Iowa sticking in the top 25, down 1 spot from 22 to 23. Somehow they're still in. I don't know. Idaho back in the rankings for the second time this year at 24. Southeastern Louisiana, they did not play. They moved down 2 spots from 23 to 25. So by my calculation, I believe the 2 teams that dropped out for Missouri State and Idaho are those bottom 2 right there. New Hampshire drops from 24, and they did not play this week. Maine also did not play. They dropped down from 25 into no rankings. So, yeah, Maine is the leading non-top 25 vote getter right now, though, followed by Monmouth. So, anyways, those are the top 25 FCS rankings for this week. And I did not look at the slate coming up this weekend, but I will right now. Why not? Just to see what preview, really long preview, even though it's, only Monday. But let's see. What do we think the game of the week is going to be here? Oh, man. James Madison, Richmond, I think that's
biggest test for JMU.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably have to put that right there. I mean, because the Missouri State North Dakota game got canceled, so that's not happening. So that would be another one that I would really like to see.
Richmond. Yeah.
Oh no, that's I I apologize to James Madison, but South Dakota State versus North Dakota State, the Battle of the Dakotas.
That's a big game.
Oh my Lord. And I hate it though. You know why I hate it? Because it's the second big game that North Dakota State gets at home. They got North Dakota at home. They're getting South Dakota State at home. That's so unfair. The Fargo Dome is electric. You know, they have rabid fans for North Dakota State. That's very unfair when it comes to South Dakota State. I'm just saying. Another one. There's 3 games of the week this week. I'm just saying. People probably won't watch this one. I mean, it's not on ESPN Plus, so I probably won't be able to watch it either. But Eastern Washington, UC Davis, I think will be a solid game as well.
That's gonna be high scoring.
Yeah, that's the thing. That can UC Davis keep up with Eastern Washington? That's the issue, I think, for UC Davis, anyways. But yeah, those 3 games, those are ones that I will be very excited about on Friday when I'm at home for Easter weekend. So. Anyways, let's get into the NFL news here. No trades this week, not like Friday. There was way too much stuff on Friday. 3 different trades, 2 of them in the top 10, top 12, I mean. Yeah, unfortunately, you guys missed that show. I mean,
I wish I was on, but I was busy with stuff.
Jack and I had a good conversation about the top 12 trades.
Trades were fun. They were fun.
Yeah, it was a very interesting move that the Dolphins did there, but
it's been trades galore in professional sports. The most I know it's not NFL, but the most people traded before the trade deadline in the NBA happened this year. Historic. 40 players were moved.
Well, you know what? We got hockey stuff on there now. I'm hyped, man. We're 12 days away from the trade deadline in the NHL.
Let's go.
And that's the thing, though. The NHL has been very quiet. There have been a couple trades here and there the last 2 weeks-ish. Nothing really. Nothing big. No first rounders going anywhere.
Not playing very well. Let's trade a lot of people.
Well, you can trade to the Penguins. They're in their win now mode. So they're All right. First thing here. Short list of NFL news today. There's not even a full page. But the NFL is expected to expand to 17 games this week when the owners meet, which knew this was coming pretty much. From what I've heard from some of the players' comments that I've seen, they don't like it.
Well, we've seen it on the horizon, right? And there's 2 perspectives to take, and I take the players' perspective because they're the people on the field that we all want to see. You know, I mean, it's money in the pocket for owners because people are going to pay for it and spectate it and purchase beers in the stands and whatnot. But do you really think that the best players are going to be playing in week 17?
No.
18, sorry. That gives – now, I will say this. It gives other people opportunity to step on the field that they would not normally have. So I think that's great. But it's not as if you're going to have Patrick Mahomes, if they've lost 1 game, out there for 4 quarters playing this game.
Unless they need to. Unless it's for division.
Yeah. But so they're just adding a 17th game and that's it. Like they're not replacing one of the preseason games, which is something I heard was a possibility or whatever.
Well, and they would knock one off.
From what I heard in Steelers president Art Rooney's comments, is that there's going to be, I think he said 2 preseason games and then 17 regular season games.
Okay, so then to me, then I don't really understand why the players are upset about this because in the end, they're playing 1 less game than they would have in previous years because there used to be 4 preseason games. Granted, a lot of players didn't play in all 4 and the entire length of the games, but still. I don't know. I think that this will be a very interesting thing. And I could see it either being one of the best things this league ever did and also one of the worst. So we'll have to see in a couple of years if they stick with this 17 game schedule or not.
As a coach, I hate cutting preseason games. Absolutely hate it. As a GM too, because 4 weeks gave you plenty of time to evaluate every single man on your 90-man roster. Granted, you cut it down to 75 after week 3 and then 53 after week 4. But yeah, 2 weeks of games, for one, you're not going to play the starters either game, I think. Maybe the first game you'll play in the first quarter, and that's it. But you need the majority of those 2 games to identify who's going to make your 53-man roster. And that's what I think comes into play. How does the schedule now work? Because training camp used to open here start of August or late July.
I get,
but now how does that schedule work when there's only 2 games?
I agree with that.
They still start at the same time.
I agree with what Chris is saying. Is maybe it doesn't change as much, but here would be my argument to all of this. It was the pandemic opened the owners up to add this game to get revenue streams back to them. The players have been advocating for years to have 2 and only 2 preseason games and 16 game schedule. And so essentially what the owner said is, I don't hear you. We're going to drop a game and add a game. And so the players are like, well, this helped you, not us. And plus the salary cap is and we all know that the reason the Players Association, the Players Union is not good for the NFL is because the NFL doesn't have a long life expectancy. The average player, 2.7 years, so technically like 3 or 3.3, and you have injuries and you leave. What they're saying is you talk about safety all the time. You talk about this and this. And so you're cutting one for the other, where their argument has, we want less preseason games so we're not injured in the preseason to have the best regular season. Well, all they did was axe 1 for 1.
Yeah, I don't know why the players are having an issue with it, because the 17th game is more TV money, which
they
get a point. They get a portion of.
But after so many years, the veterans get a big chunk of that, if that makes sense. Well, that's why the Pouncies always said, if you roll with us guys and listening to what we want as players, I'll give you some of the money that we make, because it does nothing for young players, essentially. You would think it does, but the young players are going to make X amount of money once they hit a certain amount of games.
And I mean, I think I've said this before, but people don't realize that there are so many players in the league that are never talked about, because there's so many guys making the big bucks, and there's very little guys that make the big bucks. Everyone else makes very little,
which maybe it helps the little guy. I mean, not stature, but maybe it helps the younger guys make more money with an extra game. Would that make sense?
And I mean, that's the thing. The 17th game could act like a preseason game for the next season for guys that are trying out and they're going to be free agents that are younger and need to get game film, and their team's already out of the playoffs, or or their team has a bye and they get a chance to play. Whatever the case is.
Well, another thing I was thinking about too is to kind of allow teams to do the evaluating and stuff that they would normally do during the preseason games. Maybe increase the size of like the practice squads or something for at least like half the season or something, so they can at least still have control of these players and evaluate them throughout the season. And then, like I said, maybe at the halfway point, like week 8 or 9, just cut it back down to the normal amount. But
that's one thing that they haven't said yet. If they're going to keep the practice squads the same way that it was in the 2020 season, which I actually liked, it was expanded to 16, and 3 of those spots you could have veteran players in, which I liked, because you could keep guys like Josh McCown was on the Eagles practice squad for the majority of last season, which I think was very good. Even though he lived in Houston, didn't didn't come to Philly. But last thing, if y'all don't have any other comments, Peter King put out a projected 17th game schedule for 2021.
Is it mostly
And
divisional?
No, it's not. It's non-divisional. Because I think what they said was that it would kind of be like how some of the conferences in college football did their championship weekends this year, especially like the Big Ten. You're ranked here in the conference, record-wise. You're going to play each other week 17. So I don't know. Should I run through them all or just, highlight?
Let's hear
them. Packers at Chiefs, solid week 17 game.
That'd be fun.
Bears at Raiders. Vikings at Chargers. Lions at Broncos. Seahawks at Steelers, I think, is another solid game there. Rams at Ravens. That's a good one.
That would have been fun.
Cardinals at Browns, 2 up-and-coming teams. Niners at Bengals. Saints at Titans, another solid game. Bucks at Colts, I think, is a good game, dependent upon Carson Wentz. Panthers at Texans. Deshaun could be on the other side in that one.
Or he might not be on either side.
This is true.
Gosh dang.
Falcons at Jags. Washington at the Bills. Giants at Dolphins. Cowboys at Patriots. And Eagles at the Jets.
Wait,
See, that's a preseason matchup anyways, right, Chris?
Yeah, our 4 teams in both of those divisions match up against each other, but which is really weird. But that's
what they did.
I love that idea if it's competitive and people are playing, but what if you're playing your backups?
No, Chris, you're right. They did do it divisionally.
It is by division? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the
NFC North versus AFC West, NFC West versus AFC North, NFC South versus AFC South, and the Easts against each other.
Why didn't they just do like the geographical divisions against each other rather than West versus North and the other 2?
I have no clue.
The Rams, Ravens that week, and if it's competitive to get a higher seed, you're going to be exhausted after that, especially if you turn around and play the wild card.
Well,
I think that's some of the players' issues is you didn't think of us. You thought of money. You thought of this. You thought of that. You didn't think about the actual product on the field.
So for this 17th game, though, they're saying that it's going to be the last game of the season. Like that's already finalized.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they haven't finalized, who plays 2 yet.
Oh, but I mean, like that's going to be like the last game of the season, though. It's not just going to be random throughout the season when you play that game.
Yeah. As far as I know, they're going to do the same that they do for week 16 and 17 right now, where they do divisional games the last 2 weeks, and then the last week now is going to be. I think it's going to change to they're going to play one team in one of the divisions that they haven't played in that 4-year cycle. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I don't know if I like it being the last game of the season, though, because I don't know. I liked the whole divisional matchups in the last week of the season because that brought for a lot of like win and you're in situations or things of that nature. So being that those won't be the last game of the season anymore, it kind of takes away from that kind of excitement.
Yeah, I think they should keep it intra-conference.
When you think about every year, the last 4 or 5 years, Rams and Seahawks are battling for a seed
exactly,
or for the division.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, if they're not going to go divisional game, like I said, I think they should keep it intra-conference, and because cross-conference play does nothing.
Yeah,
playoff seeding purposes. So having AFC versus AFC, NFC versus NFC, I think
bodes well.
Actually, you know what? I think they should keep it flexed. They should keep week 18 flexed until the middle of the season. Mm-hmm. Week 8 is when they should set the week 18 lineup.
Well, I thought they might do that. I thought that was what they were taking on, but that's not the case. Because I would do that 100%. If I'm an owner or even as a player, I would say, okay, if you want to add this game, in the middle of the season, you figure out the last game.
And then that's the thing, though. I wouldn't even put – because some people would say, all right, well, then you just essentially play the first round of the playoffs in the last week of the regular season. Then, but what I would do is I would put, all right, these are the playoff teams. Just go down the line and play, all right, 1 versus 2, 3 versus 4. Just go down the line. Play the top teams against the top teams in the last week of the season. It might tire them out for the playoffs, but so what? That makes playoffs more interesting. And then you'll have that because we have 7 seeds now, and you'll have that 7, 8 people fighting to keep that 7 or get into that 7 seed.
Essentially,
and then even 9, 10.
Essentially, what you saw when sports shut down, when other leagues came back, that's what they did. They had kind of a semi-playoff before the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And people tuned into it, which helps, and players got excited about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be reminded of the opening round of the NHL playoffs, please. All right. Now that we got through that whole spiel, let's get to some money. So, the Falcons. I know I felt bad, Jack. We didn't have a lot of Falcons talk on Friday. There wasn't a lot of Falcons news. We actually have some Falcons news this week. The Falcons, they reworked linebacker John Jones's deal. That saved them $4 million in cap space. They need all the money that they can get with Matt Ryan costing only 26.9 now. He was 41, but now he's 26.9 million on the cap for him. So they get $4 million there for Deion Jones reworking his deal. Re-signings, Steelers getting some work in this week. They actually got Tyson Alu back.
Alu.
There's always that one player each year.
Anthony
Barr did it to the Jets a couple of years ago, and I remember when Frank Gore did it to the Eagles a couple of years ago. There's always that one player.
Yeah. Tyson Alu agreed in terms to a deal with the Jags on a 1-year contract. Reneged on that. From what I heard, his defensive line coach in Pittsburgh had somewhat of an influence on him coming back to Pittsburgh. I mean, if I had a choice, I would come back to Pittsburgh too, considering what defense you're going to play in Pittsburgh versus what defense you're going to play on in Jacksonville. So, they got him back on a 2-year deal there.
I also heard that a big reason for it was that it was either he had COVID or somebody in the whole process of him getting down to Jacksonville had COVID. So he had to quarantine for 10 days, and that gave Pittsburgh the window to convince him to stay.
Wow.
Yeah, I just love it. Tyson Alu has really become a standout as the nose tackle for the Steelers. And that's what when I said they re-signed Chris Wormley a couple shows ago, I was like, well, they lost Alu already. So I was like, well, Chris Wormley's probably going to have to step into the nose tackle role unless a guy that they drafted in the 7th round last year, Carl Davis, steps into that role, which is a possibility. But now they have him back. To my knowledge, they've only lost 3 defensive starters: Bud Dupree, Steven Nelson, and Vince Williams. Nelson and Williams being released. But
Nelson's still out there, right?
Yeah.
Or did he sign with it? So, I mean, there's still technically a possibility of them reuniting, but
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the cap worked to get him back. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with them re-signing him to a 1-year deal. And that's the thing. The Steelers are going all in. I mean, this is Ben's last season, unofficially. Officially, unofficially, whatever. But yeah, everyone knows it's Ben's last season.
Yeah, the spotlight's going to be on him this year, just like it was on Drew Brees last year. Everybody knew it was his last ride, so that's how it's going to be for Ben this year.
And I mean, they're in the same situation. They have a solid defense. They really, luckily he had luckily, Saints had a running game and Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray, but Steelers are going to draft someone, whether that be Najee Harris or Travis Etienne. I highly doubt actually that the Steelers will take a first round running back, but considering they need a tackle in the first round. But that's the thing though. Alejandro Villanueva is still out there as well. If they re-sign him as well, I mean, they'll be leaps and bounds above where they are sitting right now with their offensive line. So, yeah. Steelers also got back their punter, Jordan Berry, re-signing on a 1-year deal. Not the best punter, I have to say, but the Eagles, out of my 3 teams that I like, the Eagles had the best punter in Cameron Johnston. Couldn't afford to keep him for cap purposes, but Jordan Berry, solid punter, in the top 10 usually in punt average. So the Chiefs also re-signing one of their players, safety Daniel Sorensen. Dirty Dan is back in KC, and his career has been fantastic. 7th round draft choice in I think it was 2017.
Great story.
Yeah, out of I think it's from Utah. I believe he's from
Utah State.
I think he's from Utah. I could be wrong. I'm sorry, Dan, if I'm wrong. But got him back anyways to run it back with Kansas City, back-to-back AFC champions.
Pretty good team.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to be this year. Just saying, I don't think they're good. They will, not with their offensive line issues.
Oh, they have some big holes. They have
Tackles. They're good in the interior. They don't have any tackles right now. Mike Remmers, actually. The right side's okay. Left tackle the hole. All right. The Chiefs also, biggest signing of the week. They got a massive stud on defense. Seahawks defensive tackle Jaron Reed. 1 year, $7 million, $5 million guaranteed there. Him and Chris Jones together on the inside. You got Frank Clark outside. My Lord, that's a defensive line.
Yeah. That just goes back to, what are you worried about? You're worried about Mahomes getting protected because they're going to have playmakers everywhere else.
Well, I think what they said was like, all right, well, we saw how Mahomes got destroyed in the Super Bowl by that defensive line.
You. Whoever's back
we're gonna make sure we win the.
Doesn't matter if it's Brady or Rodgers. We're coming after you.
Especially, I mean, getting a defensive tackle that push, that's where Brady struggles, is when he gets pushed up the middle. So,
and this was a big signing too, because I mean, you already mentioned the name, but this reunites Reed with his former teammate from Seattle and Frank Clark, and so they already have the chemistry going there from their days in Seattle together. So, this will be a force to reckon with on their front seven.
Yeah, and what I saw Louis Riddick posted on Twitter, like around when Reed was signed by the Chiefs, and he's like, well, this I think gives Chris Jones more flexibility to move out to defensive end on first and second downs, and then on third down he'll slide back in and push the inside of the pocket on passing downs. So yeah, definitely gives Chris Jones a lot more movement having another solid guy on the interior there. The Vikings getting some moves done this week. They signed Cowboys safety Xavier Woods to a 1 year, $2.25 million deal there. Vikings need all the secondary help they can get.
Gosh, do they? Do they?
We'll get you all out of next year.
The Chargers got their backup and mentor for Justin Herbert. They signed quarterback Chase Daniel to a 1 year, $1.5 million deal, formerly of the Lions last year.
Can I just ask you this question? Who would want to make $30 million over a career as a backup?
My man Chase Daniels got the system down.
Yeah, I would love to have that job. I think that's probably the best job in all of sports as the backup quarterback.
Yeah. All right. It's Blue Mountain State. So.
It is interesting, though, that they chose to go with Chase Daniel over some of the other quarterbacks that are still out there. The one name that comes to mind is Alex Smith. But I don't know.
If you're going to compare Alex Smith, for one, he's older and the injury history, obviously. But when free agency was first starting, Chris, remember, I said Chase Daniel had a market. People were inquiring about trading for him from the Lions as a backup quarterback. So yeah, he definitely was in demand.
Are we talking about backups later or Alex Smith later, or can I just? You guys can think I'm wrong, but if Chicago doesn't work out for Mr. Redhead, what I like to call him, then why wouldn't you go after Alex Smith? And I think there would be competition. So which one is better? Dalton or Smith? And you have two quarterbacks to pick from. And I understand that maybe they had that last year, but like, let's say that they signed Dalton and he does get injured in the first or second game. Like, who's going to come in after him and play?
Right now, that'd be Foles.
Yeah.
But I would leverage if I can get Smith, because Foles just, in my opinion, didn't work out. So I would leverage Foles to another team. And I guess I did forget about that. I thought they were getting rid of Foles with signing Dalton. So that's actually not a good destination for Alex Smith. But in my mind, I think you need to prop up two quarterbacks in Chicago with your defense. So who's the best two quarterbacks? Is it Foles or Dalton, or is it Alex Smith and Dalton?
That's the thing. They can't trade Foles.
They can't. Well, I mean, I think Jacksonville then I think would be an ideal destination for Alex Smith.
This is true.
Because you go ahead and you draft your quarterback and you bring in Alex Smith.
He already has ties, yeah.
Got ties. I mean, I know it's rumored before, but he can groom or you could even start him. I think Mahomes, Rodgers, people that have set out and learned from a quarterback have an advantage. So maybe you draft somebody and let Alex Smith play there.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, you brought up Mahomes. Who did Mahomes sit behind? Alex Smith. So there you go.
And one quick thing.
I did forget about Foles. That's a brain fart, but I thought they were going to – I think they could do something with Foles, but contract is bad.
While we're on the top 5 draft pick kind of conversation, with the Niners trading to number 3, when you look at the last 10 years and teams trading into the top 10 for a quarterback, has not worked out.
And it has not.
Sorry, Chris.
I know.
But I don't think – I actually don't think they're going to go with what people think they're going to go with.
They're going Trey Lance.
Mac Jones actually is probably going to be the number 3 pick.
I think they're going Zach Wilson.
They can't. Jets are taking Zach Wilson.
Not to just take him first.
That's what everyone that I've heard has said is that
if the Jets stay at 2, they're taking Zach Wilson.
The Niners already
I mean,
know.
I'm not opposed to that, but they have to take them is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Everyone.
I actually think the Niners wanted more than anyone. So I think.
They do. But they're hoping for a similar situation to what happened to the Jets with Darnold a couple years ago. Everybody thought Darnold was going to Cleveland, and then he fell to the Jets at 3. But
that's the thing, though. That's the thing. With the Eagles trade, I know this is like Friday's conversation, but we're doing it here because y'all weren't here. The Eagles trade, the background of that trade back to 12 was they wanted Zach Wilson. And they knew that the Jets were probably going to take him at 2.
Okay.
And so he was the only quarterback they were willing to trade up for. And once they knew that the Jets were going to take him, essentially, they were like, all right, we're going to move back. We now have essentially 3 first-rounders in 2022. If Jalen Hurts doesn't work out, we can trade up next year.
I agree. I just don't – I know that that's the word on the street. I just can't – and there's nothing wrong with keeping Sam and drafting quarterback. I just don't see it until they get rid of him.
I mean, it's going to be the same thing, though. The Niners apparently are keeping Jimmy G this year. So.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to have a good backup in this league nowadays. Does that make sense? Especially with a 17th game, you have to have a good backup.
They have Nick Mullins. What's wrong with Nick Mullins?
But after his pro day, I mean, his arm, and I just thought Steve Young is talking the 49ers into getting him for many reasons.
The freaking roll back off balance, drove back across.
He looked like he flipped
50 yards.
He looked like he flicked it with a finger, y'all.
All right. Anyways, back to the NFL news here. Speaking of the Niners, they signed wide receiver Mohamed Sanu, 1 year, 1 year deal there. That's his second stint with San Francisco. He sucked the first time. He hasn't been anything since he was in Atlanta.
Look, his athleticism has drastically declined, but
Falcons got a steal from New England.
He is a great, I don't want to. Everybody uses locker room guy, but not even locker room guy in the NFL. Like, he teaches young kids how to route run, teaches them how to just be a professional. Like, I believe in that stuff. And sometimes you might have to spend the veteran minimum to make people around you better. And I think that's a decent sign. And maybe he comes out and just plays really good in Shanahan's system.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the Falcons literally stole a second-round pick from the Patriots when they traded him to New England. My Lord, that was quite the trade for Thomas Dimitroff in Atlanta when he was there. The Cardinals today, they signed Bengals safety Sean Williams to a 1 year deal. Another team looking for secondary help. I didn't think they had an issue at the safety position necessarily, but corner position, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, the Cardinals could be the best team in that division. They could. I am not saying they are. They could.
That's just that division is just so tough. It's probably the best division in all of football. So it's kind of hard to rank the teams 1 to 4, but.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think there's a clear-cut winner with things going on, in whether it's injuries with 49ers.
I think the worst team is the Niners.
The quarterback situation or disgruntledness in Seattle. But I really do think if you can keep everything intact in Arizona and blend everything that's going on and plug a few spaces, Arizona with development at the quarterback position could come out. Because let's say Matthew Stafford is just past his prime and gets injured. They could be at the top of this division, guys.
Yeah.
Niners are the worst team in the NFC West because I don't know if they realize this or not, but they are going to severely miss Robert Saleh this year.
Oh, yeah.
I 100% agree with that.
Let's go to the NFC East. The Giants. Pretty big signing here as well. They signed defensive tackle Danny Shelton to a 1 year deal coming from Cleveland. Going to pair with Leonard Williams on the inside there on their 4-3. Or no, they run 3-4. Regardless, he's going to be one of their starting defensive linemen. I would think anyways. I don't really – right now, I don't really know rosters. But anyways, yeah, Danny Shelton.
Well, yeah, I would think so because they just lost
Dalvin Tomlinson.
Tomlinson, yeah. So I'd assume he's sliding in as the starter now.
Another Falcons news here. They signed offensive lineman Josh Andrews to a 1 year deal. Veteran, 7-year guy here, Josh Andrews. Actually, Chris, you know him. He was in the Jets.
I thought that name sounded familiar, but it's just such a generic name. I wasn't sure if that was who it actually was.
Yeah, definitely. It's the same guy. Yeah. The Vikings, like I said, getting secondary work done, signing Bengals corner Mackenzie Alexander, actually going back to Minnesota for the second time. Was drafted by Minnesota a couple years ago, so heads back there now. He got a big free agent deal actually just last year. It might have been 2 years ago with the Bengals. And back in Minnesota, just like that. And finally, the Steelers. They signed Bears restricted free agent offensive lineman Rashad Coward. The Bears didn't tender him, so no compensation given to the Bears for that signing. Rashad Coward is starting offensive lineman actually for the Bears. Not a well-known name, but converted from defensive line to offensive line and worked his way up to a spot with the Bears past couple of seasons. I pray he does not start for the Steelers. Because he's not that good.
Long season, then.
But definitely depth offensive line, pretty solid there. Okay.
Well, what does that tell you about Villanueva?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Insurance in case you come, regardless if they play the same position or not, you got to have insurance.
All right. Now it is time to play everyone's favorite Monday night game.
I love it.
Would you rather?
Let's talk.
So, first one. We had the Niners trade. We had the Niners trade to 3. So, would you rather have Mac Jones or Jimmy Garoppolo? Chris, take it away.
That's a tough one, because Garoppolo has been a proven winner in the NFL. Obviously, he took them to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Granted, it was mostly probably because of their defense, but still, he was on that team. Plus, he was on a few of the Patriots Super Bowl teams, so he has that winning pedigree. However, so does Mac Jones. Just obviously, he hasn't been to the pros yet, so you don't know what you're getting out of Mac Jones yet. Alabama has proven time and time again that they, I don't know. I feel like most of their players don't end up working out that well in the NFL. I feel like it's just a system that works there in Alabama, but a lot of the time it doesn't translate to the NFL. So I don't know. I think just based on projections and stuff, I think Mac Jones probably has the higher upside. So I think I'd have to go with him and take the chance with Mac Jones rather than keep riding with Jimmy G.
Chris, I will just correct you. Alabama quarterbacks do not work out very well on the NFL.
That's what I was basically saying. That's what I meant.
Players overall do very well in the NFL.
I meant Alabama
quarterback. But I agree, Chris. I'm taking Mac Jones. And the reason why I'm taking Mac Jones is because look at what Kyle Shanahan has had success with in terms of athleticism of quarterbacks. His quarterbacks that have had success haven't been that athletic, Very good with Matt Ryan. He was very good in Washington with Kirk Cousins. And he also was on the offensive staff in Houston when Matt Schaub led the league in passing in 2009. So those three guys being the focal point of Kyle Shanahan's success. Jimmy Garoppolo is probably the most athletic out of those, if you include him in 4 total quarterbacks between him, Matt Schaub, Matt Ryan, and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins probably has an argument for him versus Jimmy Garoppolo, who the most athletic is. But Matt Ryan's not that athletic. We already know Matt Schaub cannot run for save his life. But Mac Jones literally fits the mold of Matt Ryan. He's not going to run the ball very often. But he can move around if he needs to, but he's not going to run. He's going to be a pocket passer, and he's going to be able to get out on the play action concepts that the Niners like to run in Kyle Shanahan's offense. And I think Mac Jones is a perfect fit at number 3 for San Francisco, and they're going to shock the world and take him over Trey Lance and Justin Fields.
All right. My turn?
Yeah. This is a long one.
Without saying both, because that's not an answer, because I'm a firm believer that I think young guys have to learn under people. That doesn't fit the mold for this team. And so from a business standpoint, I'm taking Mac Jones. He's cheaper. Think about it. Garoppolo is a
lot of money.
Lot of money. I mean, even if you can get it off the books, then you go get Mac Jones. Does that make sense? One thing that I like about Mac Jones is his confidence. He didn't leave Alabama when he wasn't playing. He was behind people, and then when it was his time to step in the spotlight, he made the most of it. Now, the thing that would give me pause to this is he's not going to have those same type of receivers in San Francisco. Sorry, guys. And it's a 1-year film on him. And you've got great receivers around you. But I like the confidence. And I actually think he does, like you said, fit Shanahan's offense. Like he's going to know when to get the ball out of his hands, kind of like McVay. He's very smart. I think he can look at the offense that they're running and know when to hand it off, when to pitch it, when to throw it. You're going to have a great tight end. And I think you can build around this person. Sometimes, even if Garoppolo is a good quarterback, I think you wear out your time in places. And I think that he got to the pinnacle of what he can do with the 49ers, and they need to move on. Long story short. So taking Mac Jones.
All right. 3-0 for Mac Jones here. All right. Next one here. All right. Two Washington football team quarterbacks here. So would you rather have their newly signed Fitzmagic, or would you rather have almost playoff hero Taylor Heineke diving for the pylon there against the Bucs?
Who's going first?
Mark, you're up.
I'm only taking one person because I actually like Heineke and what happened, but I will never, ever in my life go away from the beard and the Deshaun Jackson wearing Fitzpatrick, baby. That is not football.
Yeah,
So I have to say that, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I love Fitzmagic, and I think I said this. I don't know when I said this. I don't remember if it was Friday or it was multiple shows ago, but Fitzmagic knows that he doesn't have that many years. He's literally playing against the clock right now, and he's having the most fun of probably anyone in the NFL.
Grad having just a great time.
Like, he doesn't care. He knows he's not a bona fide starter. He's never been a bona fide starter, even when he started 16 games for teams like he did for your Jets, Chris.
Yep.
Heineke might very well be a good quarterback.
And yeah, I mean, Heineke is probably a great backup of the future. But yeah, I mean, that's why they call him Fitzmagic, because he has spurts of four to six games where he is the best quarterback in the league.
I actually think the Dolphins went away from him too early last year.
And I think this is another chance, though. He's going to have a rookie quarterback, most likely, behind him. And if not this year, next year. But the thing is, this is another team, though, just like the Dolphins last year. He has another chance to get into the playoffs for the first time in his 17-year NFL career. They have a playoff caliber defense in a bad division. Granted, Dak's coming back with the Cowboys. Cowboys defense isn't good, though. So
I agree.
They have a chance. Giants defense is good. Offense isn't that great. They have Kenny Galladay. Okay, that's one receiver. Who cares? But the Eagles suck. I already know that. Eagles are not good. They're not good. So I think Washington's possibly going to win the division. I mean, it's going to be a probably three-way race between New York and Dallas. But yeah, it's magic. Go get it, baby. Go to the playoffs for the first time.
See, I don't know. For me, I feel like it's a little bit tougher because I have experienced the Fitzmagic on my Jets.
He's gotten better.
He's gotten better.
And he probably played his best season of his career with the Jets back in 2015 when he had Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker to throw the ball to. I mean, he'll have some decent weapons here in Washington with Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin and even Logan Thomas at tight end. But just thinking about it from the perspective of the Washington ownership and coaching staff, what are they actually going for this year? Are they going for the playoffs, or are they just trying to test out the water, see what they got here? What are they trying to do? Because if they're going for the playoffs, going all in, even though Fitzmagic somehow seems to have that curse on him that he can't make the playoffs, even when he's on a good team, I still think I'd roll with him if they're trying to go for the playoffs because, yeah, like you guys have already both said, he's got that Fitz magic in him. And he, even though I think obviously Heineke, or that's his name, right? Heineke. I think he would be the better long-term option, but I agree with you too, Mark, when you said that Miami pulled him too early this year. Granted, they had the number 3 overall pick or whatever last year with Tua.
Yeah. I think they were
Six.
playoff.
They're five.
Yeah. So I think that they were a little too trigger happy with that because they were so excited to use their shiny new toy. So yeah. I don't think that this will be the same kind of situation. I think if Fitzpatrick is named the starter from week 1, he will stay the starter pretty much the entire season, unless some sort of colossal meltdown happens, which I don't really see happening in this division.
With that, Rivera is a very big players. Like, he's backed Cam Newton. And I love Cam. I'm a big Cam fan, what he does with the community in Charlotte. I know he's not there anymore, but he backed Cam even in that days. And I think that's where, if Fitzpatrick earns it, he's going to have a coach that backs him. And I think that maybe if he can make it to week 8, if he can make it half the season where they're in playoff position, maybe he gets to game 11 or 12. Maybe that's when you switch. Not game 3, game 4, game 5.
Yeah.
If they go 4 or 5-3 in the first 8 weeks, they'll have a chance to make the playoffs. But I think what's going to be their strategy is they're not in position to draft one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks with where they're drafting this year.
So develop.
That's your guy. They're not gonna develop Taylor Heineke. They're gonna do what the Eagles did last year. They're gonna start Ryan Fitzpatrick. Taylor Heineke's gonna be the quarterback too. They're gonna go draft Kyle Trask in the second round, and they're gonna sit him.
That might be a steal.
Kyle Trask is gonna be QB3 for the majority of the season.
Guys,
if they're out of the playoffs by the last quarter of the season, Kyle Trask will start the last 4 games.
I agree. That might be it.
Exactly what the Eagles did last year.
Guys, that might be. I'm not. When's the last time that you had a quarterback like in the top 5 that just dominated the league?
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's not there yet. Like, you look at Deshaun Watson, right? You look at Patrick Mahomes. They weren't necessarily 1, 2, or 3, right?
Yeah.
You've had a lot of second round guys come out. You have Tom Brady in the 6th round. Like, if you go and get Kyle Trask in the 2nd round and you let him set and develop, he might very well be the steal of the draft this year. Like, I've seen him. He's big dude. He didn't have a lot of people. I saw when Pitts was out and he was still making throws to receivers that no one could name. And you're like, dang, that ball was dropping right where it needed to drop.
Yeah, I think Kyle Trask would be a perfect fit in Washington, actually. I didn't think that necessarily when I brought Kyle Trask up, but it's been sitting for like a minute here. And I can see Kyle Trask in the maroon and gold. Whether, apparently, we're talking about keeping the Washington football team, which would be absolutely stupid. But
well, I mean, has Dan Snyder done anything smart as an owner?
No, he did. He bought out the minority owners for $450 million.
To save him, he shouldn't even own a football team right now. Let's all just say that. He had enough money to quiet people. Thank you.
It was literally $1 million per 0.1% of ownership because he bought out 40.5% for $450 million.
Another white guy getting ahead of everybody.
Okay. All right. Next one. The next one, I think, is the hardest one. It puts you in a very tough position. It puts you in a general manager position. That's why I'm going first.
Oh, gosh.
So
it has to do something with 2 turmoil, doesn't it?
Would you rather be
the
Seattle Seahawks with your first pick coming at number 56 overall and only having 3 draft selections, or would you rather be the Houston Texans where your first pick doesn't come till number 67 in the 3rd round, but you have 8 total selections? And I am going first. Just based off where these teams are, I actually would rather be the Houston Texans. For one, because they've signed everyone. they have signed almost every single free agent out there. But for two, it's literally I like the funnel effect. I like, all right, you're in a draft. They have 8 draft selections. So if you can hit, I think a good percentage when you're talking about draft, if you hit on half of your draft picks, that's a pretty good draft. Because obviously the percentages of hitting on a draft pick get less and less as you go down the rounds. So they only have one premium, call a premium first 3 rounds for anyone that doesn't know. They only have one premium selection. So, I mean, that makes it really tough for this draft. But with 8 total picks in the later rounds, that is where if you have a solid scouting staff and scouting department, you can make great value picks and still come out of the draft as a winner if half of those guys are starting in their respective positions by mid-season, I would say, probably. So, yeah, I like the Texans. 3 draft picks for the Seahawks is just not enough for me, especially when they have a lot of needs in Seattle. Whoever wants to go. Chris, Mark?
Or me?
Yeah. I don't know. When I first saw the slide, I was like, wow, that's an easy choice. Like, I was all in on the Seahawks, but then I thought about it as you were talking, and I don't know. It's actually not as easy of a choice. Well, because I'm also thinking about the whole Deshaun Watson situation going on too, because that's a headache in itself that you're going to have to figure out within the next few weeks, months, however long it's going to take.
They have the contingency plan in Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, no, I don't know if that's good enough for me. But then again, you got to think about if you're thinking long term or short term. If you're thinking the short term, I would definitely go with the Seahawks because they are definitely more ready to win. Because they still have a good chunk of their players there in place. I mean, they got Chris Carson back, and they did lose a couple defensive players, but the Seahawks haven't been known for their defense in the last couple of years. So it's been mostly Russell Wilson who's been the one that's been winning them the games. So I don't know. Again, if I was thinking just short term going for the championship this coming year, I would still stick with the Seahawks. But I think that the brighter future is there in Houston. So again, I don't know who I'd pick, but
I think to piggyback off this, I think it's a very loaded question, and I think this is fun. This is fun. Now, I would actually flip what you're saying. I think for it might be a longer rebuild, but like if someone said, Mark, you're the GM of the Texans, I would have more fun in the short term because you already know that your quarterback wants out. You already, like you said, have more draft picks, actually, even though it's later. Mm-hmm. And so in the short term, I can see my skills. Does that make sense? Like I would flip, no offense to anybody, they might not like me. If Deshaun Watson said, I don't want to be here, I will flip Deshaun Watson for a lot of good things and draft well and then see what is happening. Long term, I would actually look at Seattle and go, man, we have a better fan base. We've had, a great coach that looks like he hasn't aged since he left USC, and Pete Carroll. I don't know what kind of Botox he's freaking using. And I would make Russell Wilson happy and say, hey, we're going to have a great marriage until you retire here. Because it's like a pendulum. Like you got one that's really unhappy and you have one that actually gave you what he wants to be happy. So what type of GM are you? Do you want to put your thumbprint and remake an organization, or do you want to make someone happy and win another championship? So I'm going with the Houston Texans in the arena that I really would love to be a GM and kind of make it my own. Whether that is making Deshaun Watson happy, because I don't think the new GM that they got has made, like, you can say, oh, I'm a Patriot and blah, 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 and we're going to do. No, he's still unhappy that he is a Texan. Like, I either would start a relationship with him or I would flip him for the future. And we've already lost Watt, and tell our fan base, like, hang with me. We have a vision and we're going in this way. We've got these draft picks, and I'm going to flip Watson. You can't make someone happy. Players have more control than ever. So hang with me. And in 4 years, we're going to be knocking on a championship.
Yeah, that's the thing. I like that you said about flipping Deshaun, but like you said, that's one of the biggest things that, I've seen people talk about with the Dolphins specifically, because they've had the most first-round picks the last couple of years. Having a lot of picks is great.
They have to pan out, though.
But you have to hit, especially, like I said, on those premium selections. When you don't hit first 3 rounds, that kills your team for the next 3 years, essentially, from that draft, unless you hit on the next year's first round, second, third round picks. Obviously it's very tough. Draft is a lottery.
I would rather be in the Texans division. Does that make more sense to maybe some people that don't understand what we're talking about? I would rather be a GM in that division, if that makes sense, instead of going against the Cardinals and the Rams and the 49ers. 'Cause I think John Lynch is a great GM.
Yeah. And you only have one solidified, solid, hard team to go against in the Titans. Colts are up in the air on offense right now. The Jags are going to be probably good in 2 years. But.
I would come in and be the GM that would try to be Watson's friend, even by saying, hey, I want to shake your hand and know where you want to go. But here's my thing. I will get you out of Houston as long as we get the same compensation back from you. I think so many people shake people's hands and go, we can't trade you because we're never going to get enough for you. But if you look at Deshaun Watson and go, okay, and they've messed up with O'Brien and Hopkins, and Watt is now gone. Hey, will you please help me in getting you out of here? But I want a good return for you. Even when you're trading people, you can have a good relationship. And maybe Watson says something to another team like, this guy's been really good to me since he's became as a GM. I'll leave my no trade clause as long as you throw in something extra for me to get to, Dallas before they signed Dak. Maybe Watson would have been a great fit in Dallas. And Jerry goes, okay, I'll throw something else in for you.
Yeah, that's the only thing is like all he wanted was to have a say.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And the team just, ended up losing his trust. So toxic situation at this point, especially with everything going on with him personally. But all right. So that was were we 3-0 again there?
3-0.
Well, I never technically picked a side, but I think I would ultimately go with the Texans.
Okay.
Down 3-3-3.
All right.
Wow.
Here we go.
Wow.
All right. Last one. I think. I don't know. I think we will be 3-0 again, though.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna have to deviate. I can't go.
I'm just saying. But so we already told you, Chris. Mark and I were golfing today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next one deals with golf.
I don't know if I
and
call my golf game golfing
and golf movies. I was going to do golfers in movies, but I couldn't find an equal partner to the first movie. So I went with overall golf themed movie. So would you rather have Happy Gilmore or Caddyshack?
Oh, classics Classics.
Mark, you're first because
Billy Madison, I'm going all day with Adam
Happy
Sandler.
Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. I'm rolling with Happy. He's fun-loving. He tells Shooter McGavin how it is, and we are driving some balls. We are driving some balls, y'all. And he had the best teacher in the world.
I agree. I am going with Happy Gilmore as well. The drive, he's got that. You know, the whole thing with the Gophers are kind of funny in Caddyshack. I wasn't a real big Caddyshack person.
He fights an alligator.
Exactly.
Billy Madison.
Happy Gilmore.
I mean, Happy, gosh dang it, guys.
Happy Madison films.
Happy. That's all I ever see Adam Sandler as is Billy Madison.
But I also love Happy Gilmore because of his last shot. His last shot is just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Off the TV stand, ding, 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 right in the hole,
God,
wins the thing.
there's
and
so
I love
much.
it.
There's so many good parts of that movie. We talk about the nail in the head. We talk about the hand.
Chris,
we talk about the hockey stick.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna make it 3 for 3 again.
Oh!
Gilmore is one of my favorite sports movies in general, and like I love Adam Sandler. Like you said, Mark, he's been in a bunch of great movies. Billy Madison, another one. But this movie, it revolutionized the way people see golf. I mean, obviously, it's been proven that his whole like run up to the thing gimmick doesn't actually work, but people still imitate it all the time. Like I always see people going back and running up to the ball to swing and stuff, and so it's just awesome to see that like a movie made that kind of impact on the world.
Yeah, there may or may not have been Happy Gilmore swings on the 18th hole today for Mark and I. Mark didn't do it right though, so I don't count his.
I stutter step too much.
He didn't watch his film on Happy, so you go back to the drawing board on that one. But the only negative,
It was a bad day.
only negative I will give Happy Gilmore is he's wearing the wrong jersey. He's wearing the wrong jersey. Why are you wearing a Boston Bruins jersey? Like the Bruins suck. I could say something else, but I'll stick with suck. I want to say one that rhymes with suck, but I will not.
No.
Suck the Bruins. That's there we go. Anyways, it's fine. The Penguins aren't playing the Bruins tonight. They're playing the Islanders. That's fine. All right. That is the end of Would You Rather. And now let's get into our AFC East mock draft. Here are the first through third round picks for each team here. Jets have 223 in the first round, 34 in the second, 66, 86 in the third. Dolphins with 6 and 18 in the first, 36, 50th in the second, 81st in the third. Patriots 15th overall in the first, 46th in the second, 96 in the third. And the Bills rounding out the division, 30th overall, 61st in the second, and 93rd in the third round. So I know y'all weren't on Friday for this, but how we do this is we go to the Draft Network's mock draft machine. I don't know if y'all have ever used it.
Mm-hmm.
It is very solid. I like it. We'll have to see if Mark's Wi-Fi will let it load.
Probably not. If it's like my golf game, it's gonna come up short.
But yeah,
in there too, Rusty. Maybe that would help.
I actually.
Hey! I need all those tabs open. Okay, I need them.
I have to buy new clubs. I broke a few, threw a few.
This is true. He threw one on about the 14th hole.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Look at this. Here we go.
I went and got it back.
Yeah, it didn't go in the water. I don't know the number of balls that went in the water today.
Be quiet
this is true.
when you're talking to me.
All right. So we're going Bills, Jets, Patriots. Where's the Dolphins at? There they are.
Right there. Let's go.
We're going 3 rounds. 3 rounds. Do normal draft speed.
So
manual.
I get to pick
predictive
when it shows
board
me
here?
something.
And here we go. Look at that. What a surprise. Trevor Lawrence goes number 1 overall. Chris.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. We're letting Chris pick the Jets. We will pick the other 3 teams. Hi, Gurley. How are you doing, sir?
Todd Gurley is not signing.
Todd Gurley is at our window, though.
He is.
Calling at the door.
He's going to be on next week. Todd Gurley will be on next week. Actually, I might be able to.
All right. Chris,
So
how are you doing what everyone thinks you're doing?
So ultimately, I would rather them trade the pick, but if I had to pick a player at 2, it would be Zach
All right,
Wilson.
let's trade it. Let's trade it. You can. There's a button for a trade. Come on. Oh, that's only exclusive for premium. I can't.
Yeah, so we can't trade in this mock draft. So I'm sticking with Zach Wilson.
If you want to pay for premium, I can trade it
No, we'll
for the rest
deal
of
with that when we do like an actual mock draft before the draft.
I'll pay for it.
All right. So you, what is your pick,
Zach Wilson.
Mister? All righty. All right, here we go. What we got here? Niners, Justin Fields, Kyle Pitts to the Falcons, Penei Sewell to the Bengals, Dolphins sitting at 6.
Number 6.
A lot of good players here. A lot of great players. But in my opinion, it's Jamar Chase or bust. Jamar Chase is the best receiver, in my opinion, this draft. Thoughts?
I don't think you could go wrong with him or Jalen Waddle. I think a healthy Jalen Waddle, and he's already been at Bama. He knows.
Devontae Smith.
Well, it just depends on if you want. I like speed and size, and I think Waddle. I think Devontae Smith is going to be a better receiver than what people think he was because of his size. But I think Waddle is just the perfect receiver for who you have at quarterback for the Dolphins, and they know each other. Is the thing. And here's the one position that Alabama has always been good at in the pros. And that is what? Receiving. And or being a running back. Backs not as good as receivers. And so that takes nothing away from Chase. But I would just go Waddle in that pick for me.
Chris, if you have anything to say or before you do, just to update, I got something across the Twitter feed here. The Bills have a new stadium. I don't know. The Bills have a new name for their stadium. Their stadium is now called Highmark Stadium.
Wow.
Highmark.
From
Chris, do you have any opinion on the Dolphins pick, or are we selecting Jamar Chase?
Well, I was going to say, in this scenario, I think Jamar Chase is the clear-cut pick here. But I'm just thinking of, like, the scenario in which they have the choice between Chase or Pitts. I think that would be a much tougher choice.
Ooh, Pitts would be a good pick.
But I think Chase is the clear-cut pick in this scenario.
Yeah, Pitt's going to 4 Atlanta. Not a very popular pick. Should call Jack for that one just to see what he thinks about Pitt's going over Justin Fields. Trey Lance still sitting there. That's very interesting. Trey Lance still sitting there after 6 picks. Could the Eagles actually? No, I'm just kidding. It's going to be the Panthers at number 8 that get Trey Lance at this point.
I could see that 100%.
But let's see here. Well, we got Jalen Waddle at 7. Look at that, Trey Lance. The Panthers. Micah Parsons to the Broncos. Surtain goes to the Cowboys.
Okay.
Devontae Smith to the Giants.
Mac Jones.
Oh my Lord! The Mac Jones to the Eagles at 12. Oh my God.
That'd be good.
Oh no! What are you doing, Philadelphia? That's not right. That is not right. Rashawn Slater to the Chargers here. Christian Darrisaw tackle run starting here. Christian Darrisaw to the Vikings. And Mac Jones going to the Eagles very much screws up the Patriots draft. They thought they were going to steal him at 15, but no. So number 1 need from the draft network is quarterback. We don't have that option. Linebacker is still available, though. Linebacker is still available. You just got to do 2 fingers and scroll down. That's linebacker is still available. JOK is still there. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame. I think that Wide receiver is still available as well. Not the top wide receivers though. Both of the Mama guys are gone. Rashad Bateman, the best wide receiver. I think they already have one South Carolina corner, Stephon Gilmore.
Horn is very good. He is a very good corner guy.
Do they go another South Carolina corner and JC Horn here? Chris is the AFC East expert, so
I'm trying to keep my mouth shut because I would hate to see them select J.C. Horn. I think he's going to be one of the better corners in this draft. But they need help on both sides of the ball. Obviously, you guys said quarterback, but they can't really go that here. I could even see them going who's the offensive lineman left right now? Anybody worth taking at 15?
That's exactly who
I don't think so.
That's who I think that they're going to do. I'm not to interrupt you. I think they're going to go with the offensive line, whether that's who we have on the board, or I actually think they go Travis Etienne. They have some injuries. I know they have Sonny, and they always get a backup. Right, they always find someone to draft that can catch it in the backfield. But I could easily see them saying, "Okay, we got Hunter in tight end. We got the other tight end. We signed Cam Newton, and so you either go on the defensive side of the ball, whether that's Horn, but I could easily see them going Etienne, even though you have Najee Harris. But I think he's handed off, run down the field. Etienne, you can flank out and catch some passes and run. So I could easily see them jumping on him.
I think this year with Travis Etienne selection, they re-signed James White. They already had the White Wonder.
They did. Okay, you're right. But I mean, Etienne though is I think much better than Burkett or even White.
Oh yeah, he's a bona fide number one running back.
So I think they go offensive line or defense.
I just think that
so who would be your?
Running back's been so devalued in the last couple of years that.
But I've never seen them put an emphasis on offense this way.
This is true.
But to have a good offense, you have to have an offensive line, right? So I actually think they would go with an offensive lineman, but who are you going to pick here?
Exactly. I don't think there's a
So do you go
lineman worth selecting? Well, I mean, I think they go with defensive tackle.
I actually think they go with Oklahoma State's
Tevin Jenkins.
I actually think they pluck him here.
Too high for me, for my blood. I like JC Horn still. I think that's the pick. They're going to probably end up losing Stephon Gilmore in the next couple of seasons, whether that's next year. I believe he's a free agent, actually. So I don't think they're going to re-sign him. They're going to go young at corner starting in 2022 with JC Horn, JC Jackson. They'll have two JCs just spelled differently at the corner position. And I think that solidify their corner position for the next 4 seasons.
I would second you taking Horn because I told you I talked about him. We forgot who was at their pro day, and he's really good. But I actually think they might stretch here, and you've seen them stretch at a different position. I could see them taking a defensive tackle.
Well, I selected J.C. Horn for them. So Cardinals went Elijah Vera-Tucker here. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I love that fit in Vegas. Solid linebacker selection. Back on the Dolphins' second first-round selection here. And it's got to be Najee Harris. They want to run the Alabama connection back with Tua. We didn't do it with the wide receiver at number 6. We selected Jamar Chase, but Najee and Tua already want to run it back there in Miami.
I think your only 2 picks here, in my opinion. Well, 3. Sorry. You're either going running back.
First three guys there, I think. Yeah.
No, I actually would go outside of that. I think it's the 2 running backs or Ojiara.
Chris?
I was going to say the same thing. I think it's either Harris or Ojulari right there. But I did forget about the whole Alabama connection with Tua. So I think in this situation, they'd lean more towards Harris.
The only reason why I said the top 3 are the 3 that I would think that would be in play here, obviously running back is the need in Miami. So Etienne versus Harris, it's whichever one, pick your poison, whichever one you like. But Tevin Jenkins, see now at 18, that's exactly where his rank is for the Draft Network predicted board.
But we know the rankings are
right, but Miami needs offensive linemen. Their offensive line is not that great, so I wouldn't rule out Tevin Jenkins here at number 18. But like I said, I would go with Najee Harris. I think that's going to be the pick here for the Dolphins at number 18. What do we got here? Washington going Tevin Jenkins right there. Rashad Bateman to the Bears. Greg Newsome to the Colts. Trayvon Moehrig to the Titans. Chris, you're up, buddy. Jets back on the board. Are you going Sam Darnold's next running back here, or Zach Wilson's next running back? I could say.
Gosh, if he's on the board,
but they do need edge rush.
I just don't understand why you wouldn't.
They need edge help though.
So my thinking here is,
you can go
as good as Etienne is, or is projected to be or whatever. They just signed Tevin Coleman for a couple of years. They have P. Ryan from last year, and they have a couple other guys too. And I feel like historically, running backs in the first round don't really work out, and they have a much bigger need.
I actually would counter that with look at the last running backs taken. It just depends on if you want them for 5 to 8 years.
Yeah. But no, they have a much bigger need at edge, and I think you'd have to choose right there between Ojulari and Peay.
I mean, if Aziz is there at that pick, that's a good pick in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think I'd have to go there with Ojulari there for the Jets.
Aziz Ojulari going to the Jets.
Running backs have been pretty good though in the top. I mean,
got Steelers going Kevin Farley, Terrace Marshall to the Jags. Thought Etienne would go to the Jags there. Eric Stokes to the Browns. Peay to the Ravens. Kadarius Toney to the Saints.
Back at the Dolphins.
Samuel Cosme to the Packers. Bills' first selection. Look. I don't care what their draft needs are. I am going Travis Etienne. Running game is the sole thing that the Bills missed poorly in the playoffs.
Oh, I agree.
They need a bona fide running back. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss not getting it done. I like Etienne to the Bills. I think it's a steal. It's a steal at 30. It's a steal.
He's still on the board. On the board.
Hey, I was hoping that he'd slip all the way back to the Jets at 34 again, but it makes it's a good pick for the Bills here.
I saw the thing on the.
What's up, Chris?
I said that I was hoping he'd slide all the way back to the Jets at 34, but he makes sense here for the Bills.
Yeah.
I love his pass catching ability, guys, and I think that's for me. Besides, is your name Derrick Henry? Well, you gotta catch and run nowadays in the NFL, unless you're as big as Derrick Henry.
The thing I would look to do for the Bills, if I were them and I'm selecting Travis Etienne at 30, I would be on the phone literally right after this selection, calling teams. All right, what do you want or what can I get from you for Devin Singletary? What can I get? What are you offering? Give me at least, because if they can get at least a 5 back, which is he was a 3rd rounder. Never mind. I don't remember. Whatever. Anyways. But still, I think a fifth round selection would be a solid value for Devin Singletary at this point. So, because obviously they drafted Zach Moss in 3rd round last year, they're not going to be giving him away. So, Devin Singletary I think would be the odd man out, and I think Zach Moss, Travis Etienne would be a very solid duo in Buffalo for years to come. Travis Etienne to the Bills. Nick Bolton to the Chiefs. Javonte Williams. Look at that. 3 running backs in the first round. Look at that. To the Bucks.
Hey, people say they
don't need a running back.
Here's my thing is people keep saying they're devalued, but they're receivers at the same time. Does that make sense? Like you're no longer drafting a running back. You're drafting a flex player.
I just still don't understand why the Bucks drafted a running back there.
They're valued in so many ways.
But they already got Leonard Fournette and
Well, I'm not saying the
Ronald
Bucks.
Jones.
I'm just saying the stigma around running backs.
Oh, yeah. All right. Liam Eichenberg to the Jags, start around 2. Chris, back with the Jets. Already selected an edge rusher. Are you doubling down?
I don't like anybody that's on the screen right now. I wouldn't go with any of the guys that are on the screen.
I would.
Saving Collins.
I'd go Collins all day.
I mean, but they have,
I know he played at
bigger
Tulsa.
needs, though.
Dude is a beast.
Collins is a good pick, but wait, scroll down to the next set of people again. Who's still there? I don't know. It would be, I think, tough. It would be a tough choice. It would be a tough choice for me between somebody like Radins or Collins, but I don't know. Although, yeah, looking at it over again, yeah, I think I'd have to go with Zaven Collins there.
I like it. That's who I would have went with for the Jets. And if you wanted a playmaker, I actually maybe it's too far down. I would have went to Elijah Moore. I really would have. It doesn't. I don't like numbers. I like fits. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're gonna have a Zach Wilson, and you're gonna have maybe a running back in the middle, you got to go the best receiver at that point. And I think Elijah Moore could fall and maybe the best receiver in the top 50. As much as I talk about Waddle and Chase, when's the last time that you saw someone go late, became a good receiver? That's often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, second round is 25 for a receiver eventually. All right. But yeah. All right. So you're going with Zaven Collins, and I do like Zaven Collins because Zaven Collins, he has pass rush ability as well.
That's 3 of us.
He pass rushed at Tulsa very well as his linebacker duty. So, anyways, all right. Jets going Zaven Collins here. Falcons, Jalen Phillips back to the Dolphins.
Sorry, Jack.
And this sets up very well for me. I'm keeping a guy in Miami. Mm-hmm. Gregory Rousseau is steal in the second round. I think he is the best pure pass rusher in the draft. So yeah, I'm going with Gregory Rousseau here. I don't know what y'all think. And the Falcons just scored. Let's go.
I'm gonna second that.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'm not gonna have a lot of dialogue. I think the same thing. Like hands down at that position, I take him.
All righty. Eagles going Aaron Robinson, Baron Browning to the Bengals, Dylan Radins to the Panthers. Panthers having a fantastic draft at this point. Jason Owe to the Broncos, Davion Nixon to the Lions, Ronnie Perkins making his entrance in the second round to the Giants. Elijah Moore to the Niners, Christian Barmore to the Cowboys, Pat Freiermuth to Trevor Lawrence, getting a weapon right there. And look what this sets up for the Patriots. All right. I know I said WFT going Kyle Trask.
No, I go Kyle Trask right here. I don't even see his name on the board.
The Patriots,
and I take Kyle Trask right here.
The Patriots do need a quarterback of the future. He's not even in the freaking top 70.
Take Kyle Trask.
I don't even know where he's at. Where is he at? Number 100, way too low. Way too low for Kyle Trask.
If you like your quarterback and you're keeping Bill Belichick, if you see Bill Belichick retiring in the next 3 years, don't take him. If he's there for 5 years, take him. Does that make sense? People, I'm telling you, 3 years, don't take him. He's there 5 years, take him. Yeah. Big difference.
I think you already know that Jarrett Stidham is not your future. So, like I said, Kyle Trask, I think is a fantastic second-round quarterback. So, it sucks, Washington. I already know. I said Washington, I think, would be a pretty good fit. But the Patriots need a quarterback first, and they're 5 picks ahead of you, and we can't do trades right now. So, Chris, do you agree with the Kyle Trask to Patriots selection here?
Reluctantly, yes, because I love Kyle Trask, and I would hate to see him go to New England. But yes, this is a perfect pick for them here.
And I think it fits too. He's Tom Brady-esque.
Even though, according to this website, it's 54 picks too early, but yeah.
54 picks too early. You go get your guy.
Exactly. All right. Creed Humphrey to the Chargers. Kelvin Joseph to the Cardinals. In between is Levi Onwuzurike to the Raiders. Dolphins pick once again, and I love the top guy, Wyatt Davis. Come on. I mean, there's a lot of good offensive linemen. This board right now sets up very well for the Dolphins. They need offensive linemen. Top two, I mean, Jalen Mayfield is also a steal in the second round. I believe he's a first-round tackle. So I don't know. Whichever way you want to pick offensive lineman-wise here.
Alabama produces some of the best offensive linemen.
Can they really pick another Alabama guy though?
I'm sorry, I didn't think about that.
I mean,
they pushed him around in the national championship.
It's just like when you're drafting in fantasy, right, Chris?
Well, let's go Ohio State. We're going Davis.
You gotta take your guy.
We're going Davis,
regardless of how many guys you have on that team, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. Here, I think I would go Davis because Dickerson does have that injury history.
Coming off ACL tear in the SEC championship game, I do agree. But from what I heard, anyways, he will be okay.
I would still take Davis. I'll still take Davis.
I agree. I just think Wyatt Davis is perfect.
He's healthy. He's big. They led the nation in a lot of categories.
It would end up being the Davis brothers at guard for the Dolphins with Jesse Davis as the other guard.
So you're either getting Alabama if you do go these people, or you're going Davis's.
Yeah, I agree. Wyatt Davis pick right here for the Dolphins. Washington football team, they go Javon Holland, Landon Dickerson to the Bears, Jalen Mayfield to the Titans, Rondale Moore to the Colts. That's interesting.
That's a good pick.
I picked that one last week on Friday. When we did the freaking AFC South draft, I said Rondale Moore is staying in Indiana, going from Purdue to Indianapolis.
That's a good pick for them.
Josh Myers to the Steelers there, Joseph Osai to the Seahawks. Your Rams taking Alex Leatherwood, Mark. Brevin Jordan to the Ravens, Amari Rodgers to the Browns, Asante Samuel Jr. to the Saints. Buffalo back on the board. They re-signed Matt Milano. So I don't think the top two linebackers, I don't think they're in the equation right here. So let's go down past them here. We got Brady Christensen out of BYU off the tackle. The thing that's hard to draft with the Bills is how many holes they don't have any holes.
Need. I mean, what is their need?
I think I'm going to go with Joe Tryon. Edge rusher, they didn't get very much they didn't get any pass rush really on Patrick Mahomes, the AFC Championship game. Joe Tryon, I think, by far is the best edge rusher. Yeah, there's nothing.
I'm going to go, and I'll tell you why I'm going this guy. I'm going Elijah Molden for Washington, and it's because if you want to get into the Super Bowl, you're going to have multiple people that can cover people on the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, can someone tell me a few people on the Kansas City Chiefs? Is their name Tyreek Hill? Is their name what's another name? Can Miko or someone that can line up on the inside with Travis Kelce, different people. And even though it might say cornerback first slot, that's not why I went that way. You can put pressure on the quarterback, but you have to have multiple people when you run routes that are tired to come right in and give you breathers so that your best cornerback can come and play. And so I would solidify the secondary, because if you want in the Super Bowl, you're going to have to stop people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny that you guys both picked those two guys, because those are the two guys that I was thinking about when we came on to the Bills here. And I mean, I'm trying to think of who the Bills have right now on their depth chart in those positions. I know they obviously have Tre'Davious White at cornerback, but I'm blanking on who their second cornerback is right now.
Levi Wallace.
Yeah. And in terms of the edge, I can't think of who their edge players are right now.
Mario Addison.
Someone.
But yeah, I think I would go more towards Mark's philosophy because yes, you want to. Obviously, we saw that the Chiefs lost because they had no offensive line, so the line was able to get through easier or whatever for the Buccaneers. But when they do solidify their offensive line, you're going to need players in the secondary to cover all those weapons that they have, and I think that's why I would go there with Molden as well.
But you don't need to cover as long if you get pressure right away. Just saying.
I agree. I agree 100%. That's why it's a dilemma, man. I agree 100%.
But I got outvoted, so I'm not taking Joe
For
Tryon.
one time in your life,
We're gonna take Elijah Molden. It's gonna be a bust, but okay.
Whatever.
Just saying.
It's gonna be the best draft.
I hope he is a bust, but that's beside the point.
Don't say that.
All righty. Let's see. Packers getting Jamin Davis, Quinn Miners. Oh, I love it. I love Quinn Miners to the Chiefs.
Back to the Jets,
my gosh.
baby.
Milton Williams to the Bucks here. Look at that. Joe Tryon. Joe Tryon to the Jags. Perfect fit right there. Second perfect fit. Buffalo. All right, Chris. So just to recap, Jets have Zach Wilson, Azeez Ojulari, Zaven Collins. Do we go back offense? There's a wide receiver run coming. I'm telling you. You look at these. Look at all those guys. There's a wide receiver run coming at some point. But Brady Christensen sitting there. Jabril Cox is there. Your guy, James Hudson.
Yeah. Well, I just noticed something that I didn't notice before, but I think I might go there with Brady Christensen because of the BYU connection with Zach Wilson.
It's true. Gosh dang, I didn't even know. I didn't understand that. Oh, gosh. I should have been looking. I'm going to second that. I know Russie has something different, but I'm a big philosopher, and if you draft a quarterback, you better protect them.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with BYU or him knowing them, but I'm taking the best, or even if it's Cincinnati's.
Yeah.
You also have someone you have to throw to someone too. I understand.
Yeah. I mean, I personally would go the other offensive tackle. That's the top of the order.
As long as it's an offensive tackle, for me, that's who you pick right now.
Chris, why am I blanking on your tackle's name?
Because he's
Becton?
Yes,
or Fan?
Mekhi Becton playing at left tackle. You already said you don't want Penei Sewell at number 2, or if they trade back a couple spots. So this is why I would go with James Hudson, because I think Brady Christensen, while he is a third-round pick, I believe he's a left tackle eventually. James Hudson, I'm not so sure on. Obviously, I know more about Brady Christensen. I've watched more BYU than I've watched Cincinnati this past season.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I believe James Hudson can probably play on the right side. So that will solidify the edges right away, whether he starts in week 1 or not. But yeah, that's what I would go with James Hudson though.
Well, then,
and if you're not going tackle though, I will give you sleeper of the draft right here. This guy, Tommy Tremble, size, height, weight, speed.
He's huge. He came to UGA and caught like 6 passes for 114 yards a couple of years ago.
I mean,
wasn't that the tight end?
I'm talking about Trey McKitty.
Oh, you're talking about
Tremble, Tommy Tremble.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Notre Dame guy, sleeper of the draft, rising up draft boards right now.
Yeah.
But y'all want to go with Brady Christensen, right?
Well,
I like Brady here.
I'll
take as long as we're protecting Zach Wilson, I don't honestly care who you take.
Well, I think I'd rather go Hudson because you made a good point, Rusty, that you would need a right tackle more than left tackle. But you also make a good point with the Tremble thing. But the only thing is I know it's a new regime and all that, but the Jets have historically not used tight ends very well.
No, that would have been my argument. But we're taking someone to
But
protect.
it's Mike LaFleur's system where you use George Kittle in San Francisco.
Still have to protect.
I think I would
so we're
take
going-
my chances though, and maybe get McKitty later in this one.
I'm going James Hudson here for the
Let's
Jets.
go. Let's go.
Mhm.
All right, we got Texans, Tommy Togiai,
I don't think
Jabril Cox to the
Christensen will be
Falcons,
there
Richie
at that pick
Grant
anyway.
to the Bengals, Tommy Tremble to the Eagles. Let's go. Brady Christensen to the Broncos, Chad Surratt to the Lions, Ifeatu Malifonwu to the Panthers, Nico Collins to Washington, Jamar Johnson to the Cowboys, Pete
Now we're at
Werner
the
to
Dolphins.
the Giants, Carlos Basham to the Chargers, Tutu Atwell to the Vikings, Jackson Coleman to the Raiders, Hamza Nazaraldine to the Raiders.
This is a tough
And
one.
we've filled a crap load of Dolphins needs right now. I feel bad that Jabril Cox already went because that would have been solid for the Dolphins.
I actually think the Dolphins is setting in front of us. You guys can go a different position. I'm definitely going to wide receiver here because at this point, I mean, they have a good defense, guys. That's what they were known for last year. And so, what do you think is the best wide receiver right now? And I can make a case for all of you guys, but I'm taking Brown from North Carolina. I think that the quarterback, what was
Tua?
his- no,
Sam Howell.
This wide receiver made him that good. That put him on the map a little bit. He's a big guy. He catches in traffic. He's physical. And that's just me as a person. I like big physical wide receivers. You're never going to have a Megatron again. Julio Jones, you can't replicate. But I really think this could be the steal of the draft, in my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah, I think they should go receiver here too, but I don't know. I was thinking more of the top guy on the board there with Dwayne Eskridge.
He's fast. He's fast.
Mhm. He's more of the Swiss Army knife kind of guy. I think he could do a lot. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's the guy that we were talking about that was kind of like the Cordarrelle Patterson kind of guy in this draft, right?
Exactly.
But what was Cordell Patterson like? He was great for 1 year. Now he's bounced around. He's okay.
He's been fantastic for the Chicago Bears.
I mean, he's been good, but he wasn't. He's not. Is he a Pro Bowl?
Well, because he transitioned to a running back, I think that's made his career even prolonged.
Yeah, but because he couldn't cut it as a wide receiver.
This is true. But he's one of the best returners in NFL history.
And so my question is, where's the return game going in the future?
Right, and you can't pick a returner solid just for the return, in the third round. So, but Chris, I don't know if you had any more on Dwayne Eskridge, if you wanted to keep going or.
Oh, no, that was my argument that he, I think, has more value to him because he can be all those different kind of things.
Swiss Army.
Mhm.
Well, I would not go receiver here. One receiver was enough for me. Dolphins already have solid receivers in Preston Williams and Devontae Parker. I like them along with Jamar Chase. I'll say who I would go with if I was going receiver here, but
I don't believe in the receivers. That's different.
I would actually go with I was gonna say Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. They're already paying big money for Byron Jones.
They are. You're right.
And they also have why am I blanking on him? Xavier Howard.
Yep.
Xavier Howard. So they're already pretty solid at corner. So that's why I would go edge rush. And it's not, I'm not picking Janarius Robinson. For one, I don't know that much about Janarius Robinson, but I do know about Peyton Turner. Peyton Turner's another guy that's kind of sleepy. Very solid production at Houston. He's very raw, just like this guy down here, who is quite the sleeper in himself, Quincy Roche. But I like Peyton Turner as the pick. I know we all picked three different people.
Well,
but
I'm taking back my pick because I totally forgot that we had them taking Jamar Chase at the beginning of the draft. So I don't think that they need a receiver here either.
Oh, they do. Here's the I love you guys, but you guys realize that they were the head of their division, and then they stopped scoring, and you got their defense isn't going to get any worse. So you either got to go tight end or wide receiver. You guys can pick, but I'm telling you, you got to put that this team showed up, and I'm a big believer that defense wins championships. But if you can't score, your defense can't necessarily win ball games for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's not capable
unless you play.
And so you get one wide receiver. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't go get another wide receiver. That doesn't make any sense, especially when 3 wide receivers are looking you in your face.
This is going to be a direct shot at you, Mark. But you can win a game strictly by playing defense and special teams if you're playing the Rams.
Well, yeah, but
with Jared Goff.
you still had to go
that game.
over
Literally,
20.
they only play defense.
Can't stand. Well, he's a Detroit Lions now, but now I have a 40-year-old quarterback that I don't even know if he can touch his toes. She's in rice.
He's only 30.
He's my age. He's 35.
Okay.
No, I love you guys. You guys outnumbered me.
So
I'm telling you guys need a wide receiver.
Chris, are you going with me on Peyton Turner?
That's way far.
Yeah,
down.
why not?
Okay. Well, before we do that selection,
why can't you get
I will
a
tell you.
Why can't you?
Because I already said they have Byron Jones and Xavier Howard.
They already got edge rushers. You're just taking another one.
I said before I said my spiel about Peyton Turner, if I did pick a wide receiver here, I wouldn't pick either of the guys you picked. I would go with the guy that I have my mouse on right now. Tylan Wallace, fantastic production at Oklahoma State. Has injury concerns. I agree.
Go down.
But he is explosive as hell.
He's going to be a steal.
And, yeah.
I'm talking about North Carolina.
I like Tylan Wallace to the Eagles. So, all right. We're on Peyton Turner here, though. So,
every North Carolina highlight.
Washington. Oh, my Lord. Paulson Adebo to Washington. That's a steal. Oh, look at Tylan Wallace to the Eagles. I told you, David.
He won't stand out because he's an Eagle.
Tyson Campbell to the Bears there. Tylan Wallace, the Eagles. Dwayne Eskridge, interesting selection to the Titans. All right, Chris.
A lot of wide receivers.
Last pick for the Jets here.
Well, I have a couple options here to pick. I was going to think about the corner from Georgia, but then he just got taken right there a few picks ago. But I'm looking at a few players there, and we were talking about how they need running back help before. I kind of like
off the field
Michael Carter there from UNC, but I don't know. Looking at the other guys that are available, I mean, we still need offensive line help there with who was that? I just saw the interior offensive lineman. Who was that? Oh, Trey Smith there.
I know you love Trey Smith, Chris.
Damn.
Number 5, right on your board?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough decision here, but yeah, I think I'd have to go and protect Wilson even more there with Trey Smith.
Dang. You want me to go or you want? Please go.
Yeah, I mean, there a lot of options for the Jets, like you said, Chris. You know, you still have 2 receivers on the board there. Mark's De'Ami Brown and, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
He's so good.
I don't think Amon-Ra St. Brown was the best receiver that USC had this year, just saying. They had another guy named Tyler Vaughns that I think is better. But I do agree, Chris. Michael Carter at running back, him and Javonte Williams are very solid. I would actually argue, though, for Kenneth Gainwell if you're going to go running back. Kenneth Gainwell's dynamic. I don't think he played this year.
No.
He was an opt-out at Memphis. but
They always
he's
have. They always
he's
have
literally
good running backs.
right.
Angelo Williams and
Antonio Gibson right now. But yeah, I would argue for Kenneth Gainwell. He was fantastic at Memphis in 2019. So that's who I would go with. Overall, though, I don't know. I'm gonna stick with Kenneth Gainwell. Sure.
All right. Who do you have at wide receiver on your board right now without this draft? Who's catching the ball from your new quarterback?
Jamison Crowder.
Pretty solid. Real solid.
Mm-hmm.
They have who did they sign?
Corey Davis.
Corey Davis, that's right.
And they got Denzel Mims from
Okay.
last year's draft.
All right.
Second round.
Easy pick for me. I'm going Sean Wade. Easy. People don't realize that the NFL is a pass game. I don't care if people try to say they won the game by handing the ball off. Yeah, your game plan might want you to hand the ball off 23 times or 30, but you still have to throw the ball. And the New York Jets football team needs a quarterback. And I actually think falling this late in the draft, Ohio State, guys, when you think of running back university, you think of linebacker university. Ohio State's known for cornerbacks. I'm taking Sean Wade easily.
All right, Chris. We all said different people, but this is your team. So who are you going with?
I mean, you got to stop the Bills.
Well,
You going with your guy?
no, I would probably go with the guy that Mark was just talking about because cornerback is a bigger need for the Jets at this moment. And
Might not be the issue in round 3 or 6, but right now, if he's on the board, I like that draft.
mm-hmm.
All righty. Sean Wade is the selection for the Jets at 86. Steelers going with, I love it. Michael Carter, Trey Smith to your Rams. A lot of offensive line help for LA.
We need it, y'all.
Janarius Robinson to the Browns. Ben Cleveland, Georgia boy, going to Minnesota.
Where? Minnesota?
Yeah.
Are we on the Bills?
Marlon Tuipulotu to the Browns as well. Aaron Rodgers got a boy. I'm
all right,
St.
so I'm not going to be I don't care if you guys agree with me or not. I'm going to go first. You have almost an MVP candidate cornerback. You got Stephon Gilmore. I'm picking a wide receiver right now, and I'm picking the first available. Sorry. Stephon Gilmore is your speed, and I think Brown – sorry. Oh, God. Gilmore's cornerback. Excuse me. I said that 3 times. Belay my last. You got speed. I'm throwing it up to Brown. He's coached by Mac Brown, who's already showed him some NFL-type offense. Mac Brown, people don't realize you can won 1 championship at Texas, but his best products in NFL were wide receivers. We're talking about Roy Williams. We're talking about other people. Brown, I think, fits the mold for them, especially red zone-wise.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you didn't go Joe Tryon at the last pick when I said needed edge rush for the Bills. So Quincy Roche sitting there.
Roche, yeah.
Very solid guy from Miami. All 3 Miami guys, I think, are solid the edge rushers this year.
Why is he so late though?
And because he's raw. He came over from Temple, had a pretty good season in 2019, didn't play in 2020, which gave Jalen Phillips the opportunity to play very well. But yeah, I don't know. Actually, when I scrolled down,
Hunter Long.
Oh my God,
really
dude,
good.
I love Hunter Long.
Hunter Long's really good. Maybe you could stretch the field with Diggs and have Hunter Long underneath.
That's the only thing that's missing on their offense is a tight end.
No, but
I already
they're
said
not
running back,
good
but-
in the red zone, and Brown answers that. So I don't know. I'm not going to be mad. I don't think there's any other pick right here. It's either Brown or Long.
Yeah.
You want to go edge rush?
I'm going Quincy Roche. That's my pick.
Nah, I'm going Brown or Long here.
Chris.
Yeah, I mean,
You're not going to be able. You got to score points to beat the Chiefs.
yeah,
They already showed their defensive hand.
it's a tough call here, but I think I'd have to go with Hunter Long because I like
I
the
second
fact
that.
he can
So
throw to different levels there.
I'm going with you on Hunter Long then.
See, and yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. Like
You
I
be
said,
quiet.
Hunter Long.
You be quiet.
Hunter Long, I love Hunter Long. Y'all know.
I didn't realize he was down. I think that's a heck of a steal.
No, I love Hunter Long, and I think they could actually. I mean, obviously Dawson Knox is not as good, but they could rival the Patriots in the division for the best tight end duo.
I actually thank you, Chris. I think that's a way better pick than Brown.
All right, Chiefs going.
But if
Aleem
Brown
McNeil
goes this late, God,
there you go. De'Ami Brown to the Bucks. Brady gets another weapon.
Guys, that is because they lost their who he signed with. Was it Godwin?
No, they haven't lost anyone.
No, they lost.
The only one that's still not signed is Antonio Brown.
That's true.
But they lost.
Maybe Chris Godwin they signed to the franchise tag.
They didn't lose anybody. They re-signed all their starters.
They re-signed 22
There's
starters.
no way that then he wouldn't have. If they added
He's
him,
like the fifth string wide receiver.
I would just. If
They already have Tyler Johnson from last year.
If they added him, I would just.
Okay, Patriots. What do we got for the Patriots so far here? We got Kyle Trask, quarterback of the future. Also have J.C. Horn. So, New England. We already attempted to do a running back earlier. It didn't go out too well. We already got a corner, so those guys are probably out. But Spencer Brown is looking pretty good right now. Top pick right there. Other than that, I mean, J2 Fele, I would say, is another solid option here. But yeah, I think I don't know. I know offensive tackle is way down here on the needs list. But I'm going to go Spencer Brown. I think he has positional versatility for one. And Cam Newton needs all the help he can get on offense to protect himself.
Actually, I don't have any rebuttals or remarks you have to protect what you have at this round, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks that De'Ami Brown went one pick ahead of the Patriots, and that could have been your pick finally for De'Ami Brown.
I think that would have been great for the Patriots, but I think you have to protect Cam Newton, let him have some time. I don't know what his throwing is anymore. I think he has an arm, but I don't know about his accuracy. Does that make a lot of that can be mental. I think he has an arm to throw it downfield all day long, but can he fit it in a window? And having someone to protect him is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that wide receiver is probably the biggest need for them right now. But as Rusty it's Rusty who's scrolling, right? As you're scrolling down here, there's not many wide receivers left here. I don't really like any of those guys there for this pick, at least. So, yeah. And who was the number one linebacker there?
Cameron McGrone from Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like filling the major needs with later round picks or middle round picks, I should say. So I don't know. I would either go with the safety or that offensive tackle at the top of the draft.
Yeah, the only guy that when I scrolled down even farther that I would think of right here, this guy right here, Andre Sisco at safety.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Chung retired. I don't know too much about our Darius Washington. Obviously, Trayvon Morg's teammate there at TCU.
Mm-hmm.
But I still like Spencer Brown as the pick here. All right, we got Chargers going our Darius Washington, Jordan Smith to the Saints, Deontay Smith to the Cowboys, Elijah Griffin to the Titans, Keith Taylor to the Lions, Kenneth Gainwell to the Niners, Cameron McGrone to your Rams, Mark,
And
linebacker.
who is the Mr.
Deontay Brown to the Ravens, Mr. Irrelevant in our draft, anyways. Andre Cisco to the Saints. Solid Saints selection.
Wouldn't mind that.
Here are our picks. Here are our picks. They will be up on Instagram
Love you
later. Zach Wilson, 2 to the Jets. Dolphins taking Jamar Chase at 6. J.C. Horn to the Patriots at 15. Dolphins taking
think the Niners
Najee Harris to the 18. Azeez Ojulari to the Jets at 23. Still first round, never mind. Travis Etienne to the Bills at 30. Zaven Collins at 34 to the Jets. Dolphins at 36 going Gregory Rousseau. Kyle Trask to the Patriots at 46. 50th is the Dolphins taking Wyatt Davis. Bills at 61st going Elijah Molden. 66th is the Jets taking James Hudson. Dolphins at 81 taking Peyton Turner. 86th, the Jets take Sean Wade. 93rd, the Bills take Hunter Long. And 96th, the Patriots take Spencer Brown.
93, Hunter Long. That would be.
I don't know, guys. I think that was a pretty good, solid mock draft.
It was a solid draft.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what one of those 4 teams won because, like we said, I think they all had a pretty solid mock draft there. But
yeah, and that's the end of the show. I didn't put the last slide up, but as always on Football Friday, we'll have the FCS previews for the weekend in college football. Also have all the NFL and NCAA news. Missouri State in the top 25 for the first time this week. This is true. They don't play a game though, however. Yeah, and also don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, as well as here on YouTube. Check out the Facebook page. Yeah, check out our website, faapodcast.com. Hit the little shop button at the top right corner. Check out all our swag. Chris has the sweatshirt on right now, showing it off.
Yep. I love
comfy, I think.
It is.
So, yeah, just check out some of that stuff. And thanks, guys. We'll see you